Montwedi of the Gauteng Provincial Investigation Unit alleged that Majola was the mastermind behind Warwick Stock's murder. He alleged that Majola was found in possession of personal information about DJ Wallace on his cell phone, including his vehicle registration and address. The court further heard that Majola's girlfriend, Hlengiwe Buthelezi, was one of 5 people Stock made protection order applications against 4 days before he was killed on December 16th. While Majola will hear his fate on bail today, police remain on the hunt for the shooter and his accomplice, who were caught on CCTV footage carrying out the murder. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
An intergovernmental dispute is brewing between the Correctional Services Department and the city of Tshwane. This after the Metro attempted to switch off the Kgoshi prison for non-payment of electricity. On Friday, Tshwane Mayor Vincent Magwenya showed up to the prison with municipal officials to disconnect that facility, but following an engagement between the officials, the switch-off operation was cancelled. Thabiso Koba reports.
Since Nasipi Moya became mayor, she's ramped up the Tshwane Yatima campaign. The campaign disconnects electricity for properties with large municipal debts. It has targeted both private and public facilities. Speaking on the sidelines of the ANC's National Lekgotla yesterday, Deputy Minister of Correctional Services Lindiwe Ntshalintshali says the Kgoshi prison is up to date with its electricity bill. She says even if that wasn't the case, switching off power to the Supermax prison would cause a national security crisis.
We're still going to engage with the mayor because I've been a mayor myself. When facilities or government bodies or entities owes you as a municipality, you start IGR, intergovernmental relations, talk to them, give them the bill, agree on settlement, because the danger was that if there was any switch off in terms of that facility, you'll have your bester being out here. They will run for their life.
In response, the Tshwane municipality says while it's committed to intergovernmental relations, it has a responsibility to apply its credit control processes fairly across all its account holders. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
We shift our focus to this now. A town known for its rivers and waterways is now bracing for the possibility of no water at all. Knysna's main dam has dropped to critically low levels, prompting emergency intervention. This includes a 20 million rand relief allocation from government as authorities work to avert day zero. Local leaders say warning signs were there long before the situation reached this point. Kayleen Morgan reports.
Day zero is the point at which the water system can no longer sustain normal household supply, meaning taps may run dry and residents would have to collect rationed water from emergency distribution points. DA Ward Councillor Sharon Sabach says the crisis was avoidable, arguing that warning signs were there and that planning fell short.
If we'd monitored the weather forecasts properly earlier on, we would have known that we would have been hitting this dry spell and we could have planned accordingly. There was no planning in terms of this.
Sabach has also blamed infrastructure failures and delayed maintenance for worsening conditions and says political disagreements slowed urgent interventions. The municipality has declared a local disaster and residents and visitors are being urged to drastically reduce consumption as emergency projects get underway. Kayleen Morgan, Eyewitness News, Knysna.
And in the U.S., former Presidents Barack Obama and Bill Clinton have called on Americans to stand up and defend their values. The calls follow the second killing of a citizen in Minneapolis by immigration agents. Alex Pretty was shot and killed by federal agents as tensions intensify over a mass immigration crackdown. Protesters have continued to gather in Minneapolis, denouncing immigration and customs enforcement. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz has renewed his call for U.S President Donald Trump to pull federal agents from his state.
We want calm and peace and normalcy back to our lives. They want chaos. We cannot and we will not give them what they want by meeting violence with violence.
Gold is trading at $5,072.17 an ounce. The rand is at 16.10 to the dollar, 21.96 to the pound, 19.07 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $65.88 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got some delays on the M1 South. This is between the Baklu Interchange and College Drive. There's also queuing traffic on the M1 North towards Grayston Drive. Please be on the lookout there.
A partly cloudy Monday expected across Gauteng with afternoon thundershowers expected. Lows of between 16 and 18 degrees and highs of between 30 and 32. The top story in EWN this hour, a new witness is set to take the stand at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, which resumes its proceedings in Pretoria today.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Calling all the brightest minds in Gauteng. Time to flex your general knowledge smarts in the brain of 702. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. T's and C's apply.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Nine minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, happy Monday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show on this Monday, the start of a brand new week. I hope you had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. The 702 open line starts now on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Askis, if you're an Arsenal fan, and I know how you are encouraging yourself is that, well, we're still on top of the log. Which is a great way to encourage yourself, but askis that you lost to Man United yesterday. There's a story that EWN ran in the news now. In fact, it's been in the news over a couple of days. It's controversy that erupted in Tshwane after the mayor of Tshwane, Dr. Nasipi Moya, on social media announced that the Kgoshi Correctional Facility owes the city of Tshwane nearly 8 million rand in utility debt. You may have heard Bali talk about that in the news now at 9 o'clock. The Department of Correctional Services has since strongly rejected the claim. They said that the mayor made a public statement without verifying the facts. Apparently, officials of the city arrived at the prison prepared to disconnect electricity based on an incorrect account statement, but they withdrew that after the error was pointed out. So the Correctional Services has called the episode disturbing and humiliating, but it's also urged the mayor to correct the record and apologize to both the department and the public. But city officials are saying that this wider Tshwane Tima campaign is actually working, because what they want to do with the campaign is to recover unpaid municipal debt, particularly from government departments. But you've got critics that argue that the backlash that they received, at least after they went to the Correctional Services Department, highlights shortcomings in verifying billing information before making such public statements. Can you imagine what would have happened if they went and switched off Kgoshi prison? I mean, sure, in some cases you could argue they're just warning them. They're not really going to do it because they know what the consequences would be. But I want you to weigh in on whether you think these campaigns work. Because there are some businesses and even government organizations that have been switched off. But it's often done publicly with information of that entity publicized. And of course, no one wants that. But maybe it helps to expose them. Do you think it helps to expose these businesses? Do you think it helps to name and shame? To have city officials go to a business that owes the city millions? Because the reality is there are some entities out there that take advantage of the dysfunction with the billing system. But part of the reason why then administrations struggle financially is that lack of payment for services. And people think, because it's so chaotic with their billing system, we can avoid paying. I mean, you should have seen the places that the city has been visiting over the last couple of months. They went to CETA, they went to the SAPS College in Pretoria West, they've gone to Kgoshi Mampuru, they've gone to the Department of Labor. So there are a number of government institutions that clearly owe the city lots of money. Well, the correctional services are saying they got it wrong. They should have looked at their documents. We don't owe them, even though the city insists that the correctional services agreed to make a settlement, and that's why they didn't switch off Kgoshi Mampuru. I'd like you to share your thoughts with us on 011-883-0702, or you can call us or send us a WhatsApp voice note. Did you hear what the Zulu King, Mrs. Zulu KwaZulu Tini, said over the weekend? He was talking about what has been unfolding at Eddington Primary School, and he said that the situation requires honest dialogue. Now, what happened at Eddington Primary School, I actually interviewed the MEC of Education in KwaZulu-Natal about that school, because there are some parents that were concerned that there are a lot of foreign nationals who go to Eddington Primary School. It's a fee-paying school, a fee-paying public school in KwaZulu-Natal. So concerns have been raised that the school has more undocumented learners than South African citizens. I think when I interviewed the Department of Education last week on SABC, they indicated that there's about 600 foreign nationals, children who are, born of foreign nationals, and there is about 1,002 or 1,001 locals. So those are the pupils. So that's the breakdown of the numbers. And the parents were concerned that, but some of us are local parents here, and yet our children have not gotten the space. And yet you've got, children of foreign nationals being accommodated at the school. But government says there's nothing we can do about it. Well, if they applied early, then what do you expect us to do? So that has been a debate, particularly in KwaZulu-Natal, around how to manage issues like this. Because as you know, our constitution is very clear. Anybody has a right to education. Whether you've got documentation or not, whether you're here illegally or not, you've got a right to basic education. So the school can't necessarily say, no, we can't enlist you because you do not have the necessary documents. So that's just the context of what happened in Eddington Primary. So the King has been saying that we need to look at that situation and have an honest dialogue. Now, the King went further to say that what happened at Eddington Primary shows that we are being compromised by our sisters. And then he said, and I quote here, but what can we do? Because their children are our nephews and nieces. However, we must sit down and discuss this. Even if my nephew or niece is born of a foreign national, that foreign national must leave, while my nephew or niece should remain. So the King continued to encourage men to form relations across local ethnic groups rather than looking beyond South African borders. And I wonder what you make of what the King had to say. Not so much about Eddington, but this idea of who you have children with. Because there's something that I have picked up recently, I must say. There are people that I've met, and whenever I would ask them, because I could tell maybe that, they're not from here, or maybe they've mentioned it without telling me where they're from, or I can pick up an accent, I often would ask, hey, where are you from? Where's home? In fact, that's how I would put it. Where's home? Meaning, where were you born? Because I'm picking up either a British accent or a Zim accent. It could be anything. And I pick up that people are becoming shy to tell us where they're from, especially when they're from Zimbabwe, in my experience. Someone just yesterday, or was it on Saturday, when I asked, where are you from? Hesitated to say to me, I'm from Zimbabwe. And I'm wondering, and I would like people who are from other countries, if you are if you are here in South Africa, you're from other countries, whether it's the UK, whether it's Nigeria, wherever. Are you shy or are you cautious about telling people where you come from because you know that there are some South Africans who take a particular position upon posture towards foreign nationals. Is that the case? And maybe you're a local yourself, but this is something you've picked up. I mean, I was on holiday in December. I was in Saudi Arabia, and there was someone who was driving the cart, right, transporting me to the restaurant at the resort where I stayed. And this is someone who is, in fact, it was at another resort that I had visited, which is next to the resort where I stayed. And when I arrived there, this lady was driving this cart, right, transporting us. And I said to her, you look like you are one of us, like as in you look like you are South African or somewhere on the African continent, like you come from there in our neighboring countries or South Africa. And she said, and you could pick up the Zim accent. And she insisted that she's like, oh no, I'm from Kempton Park, with no roots to Zimbabwe. But it was pretty obvious. You could, I mean, if I played you a clip, if I had recorded her, I played you a clip of how she speaks, you can tell that, this is a very strong Zimbabwean accent. But this is someone who said, no, I'm from Kempton Park. And you could tell that she was feeling a little uncomfortable about telling us where she's from. And I don't know if this is a trend. Maybe these are isolated incidents. Please, can you tell me if this is something you've experienced? And if you come from other countries, is that the position you've taken because you know that there are some South Africans who can be xenophobic, who can, treat you differently or start judging you just because of where you come from? I'd like us to chat about that on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. At 10 o'clock, we're going to look ahead to the Madlanga Commission. It's resuming this morning, so we must reflect on the testimonies we've heard so far, the phase that we're in, and the key individuals that are still yet to appear. 10:30, we're going to continue with our series looking at countries that America has invaded. We have so far looked at Iraq and Vietnam. Today we're going to focus on Libya. And yes, some people say, America didn't invade these countries. They just intervened militarily. Well, at the end of the day, you still invaded that country militarily. At 11 o'clock, we're going to do our Family Matters feature. Today we're discussing how to deal with competition in relationships. Do you have competition with your siblings? Oh my goodness, are there parents who are jealous of their own children? I cannot even begin to imagine that. Or maybe there's competition in your friendship, competition in your romantic relationship. How do you deal with that? That's what we're discussing on our Family Matters feature at 11 o'clock. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
My boy, Dumela, ask us if you are an Orlando Pirates fan. Hey, game in hand, blah, blah, blah. You just drew with Marumo Gallants. No, I'm lying. In fact, it is Sekhukhune United. So you're on a single game away to equal with Sundowns again. Yet you are still behind. So we will see, Mr. Orlando Pirates. Cheers.
Hi Clement, morning 702 Landers. I just want to put my opinion in with the Tshwane electricity shutdown campaign. For me, the only problem with these campaigns is I think they should be mindful of the institution, because, I mean, if there was an instant where Mampura was turned off and a prisoner has escaped, I mean, that's another addition of a problem that we're creating. Yes, fair enough, we're trying to do something right, but let's not do it in a way that's going to just create more problems for us. I mean, institutions like hospitals, if they we can't turn off those things, because it has a ripple effect that has a massive, major, and in other cases, fatality consequences.
Yeah, I'm going to bring in Tshwane in a moment to find out what the action plan was. But also, there's contradicting information. Correctional Services says we didn't owe them anything. In fact, we pointed them to an error. And they had to go verify their documents. That's why they didn't switch off and they left. But Tshwane insists that no, they did, in fact, they did, in fact, owe money. And as a result, we came into a settlement and agreement on when they're going to make the payments. So I'll bring them up to come and explain what truly happened. Malibongwe, Simiso, Jacques, Semi, I see you. I'll start with your calls after the break. It's 23 after 9.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
The minister, Andrew Motshekga, announcing a board of inquiry to find out why. And our reports over this past weekend that, in fact, there would have been instructions from the commander-in-chief as early as November last year warning about the inclusion of Iran that seemingly the National Defense Force ignored. How is that possible?
The military cannot even debate whether or not to perform a particular exercise once a decision has been taken by the president. That's one principle that we should adhere to as a democratic state.
Dr. Knysna Makubela.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
The stage is set, the questions are ready, and it's time for you to shine in the 2026 edition of The Brain of 702, the ultimate trivia showdown. Whether you're the quiz master in your friend group, a walking encyclopedia, or someone who thrives on a challenge, this is your chance to prove your mental might and claim the title of The Brain of 702. Here's how it works. Just go head to head with a sharp mind to become the brain of the day, and then you get 1,500 Rand for each round you win. You can be the last contestant standing at the end of the week and be crowned Brain of the Week on a Friday, taking home an extra 10,000 Rand. As the weekly winner, you'll compete in the grand finale for the ultimate bragging rights and the Brain of 702 title, along with a dazzling 30,000 Rand courtesy of 702. So to enter, quite easy. Go to the 702 section on primemediaplus.com. If you're selected, you'll face a qualifier, and if you impress us, you'll step into the spotlight and play live on the radio. The Brain of 702 kicks off on Monday, the 2nd of February on Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa and Afternoon Drive with John Pellman. Don't miss the quiz where great minds meet. T's and C's apply.
Life keeps getting busier. Parenting, shopping, working, exercising, just surviving. With all of that, who has time for anything else? That's why Netcare introduces Netcare Appointmed. Just tell us what you need, a specialist, GP or dentist, and we'll search our nationwide network of 5,000 doctors and find an appointment with a doctor who best suits your needs and medical aid. That's Netcare Appointmed on the Netcare app.
To live wealthier, you need to be able to grow your assets. At Standard Bank Private, you get a team of internationally acclaimed financial experts to advise you on local and global investment strategies. Plus, being with a leader in home loans, you can start expanding your property portfolio. So, come live wealthier with Africa's best private bank. Apply online at standardbank.co.za. Standard Bank is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
26 after 9. Malibongwe, you're calling us from Midrand. Good morning.
Hello, Clement.
Sure.
The listeners. I just wanted to ask, I think it's a question on everybody's lips. How did the Kosimampuru operate during stage 5 load shedding? Because we live around that complex. It used to be cut off. Same way as the hospital used to be cut off. So it's just disappointing that the media is playing along that Thabo Bestars are going to escape if that place is cut off. It's not true.
Which place was cut off, Malibongwe? Kosimampuru was dark during load shedding.
During stage 5.
Did you see it being cut off?
I just told you that I live across the place in the same grid.
The entire
During
area.
stage 5. Even hospitals, don't you remember there was a campaign that even hospitals now, ESCOM was begged to spare hospitals and schools.
There was a legal, there's a case, there was a
And
legal
schools.
case.
If hospitals can be cut off, I mean, doesn't tell you that Kosimampuru used to be cut off when it reaches stage 5.
Yeah, Malibongwe, I'm going to ask, in fact, the producers are in touch with someone at ESCOM there to confirm how they used to go about it. But what I'm going to do as well before we wrap up the 702 open line is to bring the city of Tshwane to explain what their intention was and what their agreement was with the prison. And of course, any hospital and a prison is going to have a backup system of sorts. I mean, one wonders if you cut off that prison or the hospital because the backup also has its own limits, probably can take you up for a day or two, that backup system, but beyond that you probably are challenged. So what's the setup like in our correctional services? I'll clarify that to you as well. Simiso, you're in Garankuwa. What are your thoughts?
Hey, good morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
I hope you're not babalas today.
Oh, no. I don't drink now, Simiso. We are training for
you.
comrades until June. I'll probably have a glass of bubbles after June.
Yeah. Good luck, man. Let's start where the Tshwane campaign started. It started with the Brink administration, but how they did it was they approached businesses and said, even residents, let's talk. Before we even cut off, let's talk. How can the city assist? That shows Ubuntu and the care that the city was presenting to residents. So now we have a mayor that is switching off the likes of Vescopis and Kosimampuru. Are you saying that those patients, you have zero regard to them?
But why are we assuming the mayor and the city under the new administration have not had conversations with these departments?
But are you saying now, even though you had those conversations, you can't maybe go the legal route and force them to pay instead of showing that you do not care about those patients?
So legal route meaning what? Go to court to force them to pay?
Go to court. Try something.
That's costing a lot of money as well, Simiso. Look, I'm not saying that these things must be done in a way that is illegal, but I'm saying there are people and in businesses out there, Simiso, who take advantage of the dysfunction with the billing systems. So what they will do is sit and not pay their bill for 3 years. They owe hundreds of millions of rands because they know that for you to get them to pay, you're going to have to go to court, which is going to take another 2 years.
Let's look at this. She's in a coalition with the ANC. She was, when she announced her Meiko, Panyaza Lusufi was there. Surely she has direct contact with the man. Can't you have that conversation that this institution is owing? How can we do? There's one of the people in her mayoral committee who owes the city millions. How is that handled? But now, other low-hanging fruits, vulnerable people are the targets for these campaigns. Where is that Ubuntu, Clement? I'm just asking for that Ubuntu to say, we are at Vescopis, we want to shut it down, but because we are a city that cares for its people and its residents, we are calling on the departments to come to the city and let's talk. We cannot cut electricity to Vescopis and Kosimampuru. I mean, Kosimampuru is holding hardened criminals. So that Malibongo from Midbank is telling lies. I live in Garankuwa. I pass George Mukari all the time. It was never switched off, even at stage million. It was never switched off.
Stage million. Is that where? Okay, got you, Sibiso. Let's hear what the other listeners think. Thank you so much. Jacques A. Semi, I'll start with you after the headlines. It's 9:30. Bali, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The inquiry into Johannesburg prosecution's boss, Advocate Andrew Chauke, is expected to resume this morning, but there is a cloud of uncertainty about testimony by NPA boss, Advocate Shamila Batoyi. Before the hearings paused in December, Batoyi had been the first witness to testify against Chauke as the main complainant against him. In the courts, the 65 people charged with allegedly instigating the 2021 July unrest are set to return to the dock in the Durban High Court for a pre-trial hearing. The group is implicated in the deadly riots and looting in parts of KZN as well as Gauteng. They also face terrorism-related charges. And some staff members remain stranded in isolated camps after severe flooding washed away roads and bridges at the Kruger National Park. Environmental Minister Willie Oakam says much of the park's aging infrastructure was never designed to withstand the climate change-driven weather. He adds that engineers will now need to redesign bridges and develop new water management systems to better cope with future flooding. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
We've got delays reported on the R21 North heading towards the city of Tshwane. This is due to roadworks that are taking place along this route. Please be on the lookout there. And then if you're thinking of using the N1 North, unfortunately, bumper-to-bumper traffic there as well. This is between the Baklu interchange all the way towards Olifantsfontein Road at this particular moment could take you about 40 minutes to arrive in the city of Tshwane, especially if you're heading towards Centurion. And then traveling on the N12 West, we've got some delays between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange, and there's also queuing traffic heading towards the OR Tambo Airport via the R24 East. This is due to an accident near Barber Road. It is causing delays coming out of Edenville Road, about a 15-minute delay there. Please be on the lookout and continue driving with care. More updates at the top of the hour. Do stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Water is a scarce resource. That dripping tap, that overwatered lawn, it all adds up. Johannesburg Water urges you to fix on property leaks, reuse grey water, and reduce unnecessary use. They're intensifying leak repairs and upgrading infrastructure to reduce losses. By working together and changing daily habits, water resources can be safeguarded and supply secured for future generations. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water and sanitation utility that cares.
In life's most challenging moments of loss, compassion can be your greatest comfort. You shouldn't have to face the financial burden of losing a loved one by yourself. Rest assured, Clientele's funeral plans pay out cash within 24 hours. You can cover up to 13 family members on one plan, ensuring all your loved ones are taken care of, and 3 children are covered at no additional cost. With Clientele, you're not just buying a plan, you're also buying peace of mind. When the time comes, you will need to make important calls with your 200 Rand airtime you will receive when you claim. Plans offer double accidental death cover, as well as transport, grocery, and unveiling benefits. Apply today. It's easy. There are no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Your office is more than just a place to work. It's a reflection of your success. At Desk and Chair, we help you elevate your workspace with locally manufactured desks and a wide range of chairs to suit your style and budget. Our expert consultants are with you every step of the way, from planning to delivery and assembly. Visit our showroom in Midrand or shop online at deskandchair.co.za. Desk and Chair. Think, feel, work better.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let me go to your calls, your WhatsApps as well. Semi, let's start with you in Centurion. What do you want to say about foreign nationals and whether they're said to talk about where they come from? Hi.
Yes, Clement, good morning. Good morning. You see, the foreign nationals who are free to come to see where they're coming from. I'm saying it's out of guilt. I'm saying they're guilt reading. They are guilt reading. That's why they are free to see.
They're guilt
tripping. They're guilt reading.
Oh, okay. Why do you say
so?
And
then that's why they are free to say, Clement, if you know that you are in our country to contribute instead of sucking out our resources, if you know that you are here to create jobs to contribute towards our economy instead of just consuming our resources, our scarce resources, competing with poor South Africans for educational opportunities, job opportunities and all. If you are here, if you know that you are present in our country, disadvantages our fellow South African, then you will be guilt-reading, Clement. You'll be afraid to say, where exactly are you from? But if you know that you are here to contribute scarce skills to create jobs that will benefit our fellow South Africans, Clement, you will never be afraid to say where you are from, Clement. You will walk with your head held high and say, no, I'm from Zimbabwe or I'm from Mozambique whatsoever. But if you know that, Clement, you are here to, your presence is going to disadvantage our fellow South Africans. You are standing at the queue at the clinics there. Our fellow South Africans are asked for identity documents, whereas you are not. You are going to working sectors like retail, whereas our fellow South Africans are going to be disadvantaged in terms of jobs. You'll be guilt-ridden, Clement, to work with your head, you work in shame, and you will not be proud to say where you exactly are from.
Okay, Semi, let's hear what the other listeners think. It's not only the people who work in retail, by the way, that I at least have come across who are sort of shy to tell you where they're from. There are some people who are quite, they are professionals in like other industries that are, we could maybe finance, maybe that are just like, they hesitate before they tell you where is home. And maybe initially I used to think, oh, maybe it's the embarrassment of look at where our country is now. Look at where our country is. I'm just embarrassed to be associated with that. And I realized that actually that's because some of us are quite hectic towards foreign nationals. That's a reality. Some of us are, and some foreign nationals, even those who are here legally and they're good, sometimes are scared to actually be honest and say where they're from because of some of the attitudes that some of us often give them.
Morning, Clement. Great show as always. It's easy to pick up the xenophobic South Africans that make foreigners uncomfortable. Usually it's the ones that want to find out where foreigners are from. That question is very uncomfortable in South Africa because it is known that South Africans will want to find out where you're from so they can judge you or put you in your place as a foreigner. And as such, foreigners will panic. So if you want to know which South African is xenophobic, start by picking up which ones ask people where they're from. Because not everyone does. And it makes foreigners uncomfortable, especially Zimbabweans, because they know they've been treated very badly in South Africa.
Yeah.
Hi, Clement. I acknowledge that your interest in people's accents may be academic when you ask people, so where are you from? When you hear an accent that may sound Zimbabwean or from somewhere else on the continent. But what you need to bear in mind is that that could be seen as a microaggression, in the very same way that black people or people of the African diaspora, and they could be second generation, third generation, but they have a Nigerian sounding name and they ask, where are you from? Where are you really from? And they say, well, no, I'm from London. And they're like, no, where are you really from? So I think much as you mean well, I think we need to bear that in mind. And secondly, we're in South Africa. Accents are a dime a dozen, You have people that sound a particular way, but from a completely different background. Black people with colored accents, colored people with black accents, white people nowadays with ambiguous black sounding accents. So, it's kind of the same mentality as, say, police officers or Home Affairs officials pulling people over and asking for their papers purely because they're dark-skinned. So much as you might mean well, I think we need to be really careful. It's Pio at Johannesburg.
Yeah, Spiro, thanks for that. But I think that's completely taken off in the wrong way. I think that's philosophizing it. I'm asking because I'm interested to actually know you more. I would like you to know me more. It's not so comparing it to Home Affairs or police calling someone to check their accents. I'm not regulating anything. I'm not trying to arrest anyone. If I pick up, and I'm not doing this here only at home. When I'm traveling, if I pick up something, I'm interested to know. So what brings you here? I have conversations with Uber drivers when I'm overseas. And I'd like to know if I pick up that they may be from home. I like that. I love connecting with fellow Africans when I'm overseas. I do. So when I see one person, if I'm at a resort and I see that, where I stayed, we were the only black people there. So when there's another black person that we see who's driving a car and works in the resort, the easy thing to do, especially when you pick up an accent and it's like people come from home, is, oh my God, where are you from? And you would be surprised how much light you bring to those people because they've not had anybody from your part of the country, anybody from home whom they can interact with. So that is the moment I look for. I ask people, so where are you from? Because I'm interested. So when did you get here? What brings you here? Tell me more about, I met a guy from Cape Town. It's a white guy who's a manager at one of the restaurants at the resort. I loved talking to him. I could also pick up from how he speaks that you look, it's like you're from home. It turns out he's from Cape Town. So you're not asking you to regulate people. You're asking because it's part of conversations. It's never because of a name. It's because I pick up the same way that when people pick up how I speak, they ask me, where are you from? And I don't take offense from that. I think that's our way of talking to each other. But if we want to philosophize things, now we're going to be scared to even when I used to say, I can see when sometimes I have not even heard your accent, but I can see you. I'm like, this person looks like they're from home. That excites me. even at the airport, and I can say, sorry, where are you from? That's part of us being human and interacting with each other. At least that's how I look at it.
Hey, morning, Clem. O'Brien First Lawrence. Clement, you are right about the issue of not disclosing exactly where are you from, because you know where it comes from. Let us concentrate on Zim. Way back, Zimbabwe, Clement, I'm from Limpopo. The Zimbabweans, when they used to come in peace. If you hear someone say, I'm from Zimbabwe, it was happiness. 94, coming this side, just before 2000. Oh, okay, Zimbabwe, all of them to go and Kotaura, what? Now, they must talk to their fellow countrymen. There are these fellow countrymen of theirs who come here and then ruin their reputation. That's why today they are not proud to say, I'm from Zim. Clement. That's how it happens in each and every country. We used to love people from DRC because they can speak nice French. Can you teach me au revoir, this and stuff? But once your fellow countrymen start like perception, say the Nigerians and stuff, then people start looking at you funny. But if we can hold it from back then to say, hey, these are our neighbors and we are coming in peace, we are coming from Malawi to do nice things, not to come and be a Bushiri here. Thanks, Clement.
Walter, you're in Cape Town. Hi.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
Good. So I'm from Zimbabwe, been in this country just under 20 years now.
Yeah.
Legally documented. I've got all the documents. And during the weekends, I drive Uber. I use my car for Uber to earn extra money. And you get interesting passengers that get in the car, you exchange pleasantries, and they assume I'm from here, and they will say, oh, thank God, it's so nice to be driven by a South African.
Oh.
I said, oh, okay. Why? It's like, I hate these foreigners, or these foreigners are flooding this market, I took a lady from the airport, beautiful lady, we exchanged talking. It's like, these guys, you must beat them. Why do you allow them?
Oh, you beat them.
Yes. And then I said, yes, Mama, we must beat them.
You will turn now.
At the end of the conversation, Mamela, when she was getting off, then I said, oh, Mama, I'm from Zimbabwe. You should have seen the look on your face.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
So, me, I'm not shy that I'm from Zimbabwe. And I there's nothing to be shy of. I'm from Zimbabwe. I can't change that. The country's a mess, but that's where I come from.
That's where you come from. Yes, Walter.
Never shy away from it. I get others. It's true. Zimbabweans you can tell that this person's from Zimbabwe, but they are speaking proper Zulu or proper Xhosa, but I know
you can pick it up.
From Zimbabwe. You can't. Why are you hiding? There's nothing to hide.
Yeah, Walter in Cape Town. Thank you so much, brother, for your call.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Jackie A's, you are calling us from Tshwane. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. You are the DA Tshwane Chief Whip, I'm told.
Yes, I'm Chief Whip and Spokesperson of Finance.
Yeah, sure. So what are your thoughts on this initiative by the administration of Mayor Nasipi Moya?
So, Tshwane Atima is a great initiative. It's actually not Nasipi Moya's initiative. It started in the DA's term, and it is very important as a tool to use to get people to pay their accounts. Unfortunately, the way that it is being implemented now, where they cut off government departments and then later on need to admit that there was issues and then switch them back on again, and where they are in the tit for tat fight with a government department, puts the entire purpose of this program at risk. The purpose of the program is to show that we need to be responsible in paying our accounts. All that it is currently showing is that the municipality is failing at its billing. Yet the question still remains, why is the government of today, even after Nasipi Moya admitted that the old Morula son owes tens of millions of rands, why is credit control not effected onto that property? Because that is also a governmental property, and there was admittance from both the Northwest Housing Corporation as well as from the City of Tshwane that that account is due and payable. Why are they not affecting credit control there? Is it because the Deputy Executive Mayor has got financial interest and runs his business from that property in the name of Mzansi Resorts? And why are cadres being treated different than average residents in the city of Tshwane? Why are we seeing police stations being cut off, schools being cut off, hospitals being cut off, but we are not seeing the places where the politicians have financial interests being cut off?
Yeah, Jackie, that's a good question to ask. We're still waiting for someone from Tshwane to join us. But I think you're on the money. And I suppose as the opposition party in that metro, it's also your responsibility to make sure that you put this up and hold the executive accountable. I mean, if there are businesses that they are protecting because they are politicians, they are fellow comrades of business interests in, that's got to be exposed. And thank you so much for calling us about it. When we get Tshwane, I'll ask them about it. Lehlogonolo, you're in Centurion. Good morning.
Morning, Madimecha. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
Madimecha, I'm a citizen now of Tshwane. And you know what? The lady that just spoke now, they playing politics. This is politics playing. Tshwane is working now. The DA left the city in a mess. Okay? Yes, we can talk about that Murula Sani thing. But there is a schedule. These people are working on a schedule that this area, we target this area this week, we target that area next week, we target this area next week. They will go to Murula Sani when Madimecha. The city is working now for the people, all the people. So we're not going to listen to the DA here coming and playing politics here. They couldn't do nothing. They were working for their own people. They couldn't do nothing. They were not working for the Kasi. They were only working for the suburbs. Now that they've seen that the city is working, you know, I had a conversation with the mayor about 2 weeks back, and I was saying to her that you are the reason why you make me come and take place in this in Tshwane, because I can see that the city is working. I had an option, Madimecha, last year to buy in Midrand or buy in Tshwane, but I could see that the city is working. I'm not a member of Action SA. I used to like Mashaba.
You were EFF, and then you left the EFF.
Yeah,
What happened?
The EFF. I didn't leave
you left. When I hosted,
I split my vote because there were certain things I was not happy about. I split my vote between MK and the EFF.
Yeah, because I remember when I hosted the SG of the EFF, you called in and you were saying, please come back home. Don't split your vote. Vote for us.
But either way, Madimecha, I'm still voting for the same people.
Yeah.
You know, these people, it's the same people.
Yeah, got it. I'm out of time now, but we got your point. You're saying that's a political thing that the DA are doing. Again, I really want to have the city so that I can clarify a lot of what many of you have raised on the open line this morning. It's 10 minutes before 10 o'clock. Lesego, I'll start with you after the break.
There's a new way to experience all your favorites. Pulse Africa, the 24/7 fast channel, now live on PrimeMediaPlus.com and the Prime Media Plus app, bringing you the best of Prime Media around the clock. Watch the biggest moments from 7:02. It's non-stop entertainment and authentic African storytelling, all from Africa's leading media network. Pulse Africa, only on the PrimeMediaPlus.com and Prime Media Plus app.
You may not know this, but that genius, Albert Einstein, he never wore socks. Which proves that even the smartest people aren't always smart. But you can shop like an absolute genius at Decofern Furniture with unbeatable deals on office chairs, desks, and much more. Plus up to 50% off end-of-range items. Work smarter, study smarter, and definitely shop smarter at Decofern Furniture right now, in store or at decofernsa.co.za.
Time. When you're a kid, it moves slower than a sloth trying to get through airport security. There is just so much of it. Skip forward a few years to your 20s. Time is still your friend. It says have some balance. Go party and have fun. Then your 30s hit. And time suddenly steps on the accelerator like it's trying to catch a traffic light before it goes red. 40s. Now time is moving faster than your 10-year-old on a sugar high. 50. You're desperately trying to save as much as you can, but time is moving so fast. And all you can think is, where did all the time go? That's why after 50 years of investing, we've learned that time is the greatest gift of all. And the good news is, if you invest early, time gives you money. And then money gives you more time. for some much-deserved you time. Now, isn't that a compelling enough reason to invest? Ellen Gray, long-term investing. Ellen Gray is an authorized FSP.
After a short migration, the family arrives at the premier resort, rich in food, drink, and entertainment. The young, freed from classroom captivity, head straight for Kids Club and the safety of the herd. The adult male meanders to the scuba center, while the matriarch basks by the pool.
Book your resort escape to Knysna, East London, Scottborough, or Sunny Pass at premierhotels.co.za.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
7 minutes before 10 o'clock. All right, let's continue with your calls on WhatsApps on, of course, what I asked about some foreign nationals who may be scared to say where they come from. Success on Twitter says, Clement, my mom stops people in Pretoria and say, Sepedi sa gago ke sa sekuku, no otswa kae. Jiki jiki, they're having a homely conversation. I hear your society is insecure, kuningi. I do that a lot, by the way. When I meet people at gigs or anywhere else with a surname that I associate, I'm like, like we had a guest. Every time I have guests here who are Betty, like last week we were hosting plastic surgeons, the other week, I asked one of the doctors, I was like, when huh? Are you from Limpopo? Eh? And then they're like, yeah, kichwa sikuku, ne kichwa molechi. Then that becomes a homely, then we reminisce, we talk about, okay, where? Oh, I've got family in Mudimule. All of that. But that's part of being Ubuntu. It's not because you're trying to regulate people. Lesego, you calling from the Johannesburg North. What are your thoughts? Hi.
Hi.
Sure.
Clement, hi. Yes. So I want to weigh in as well. So from the point of I'm a South African. So I think in my observation and being a person who has actually dated a foreigner before and I've worked in Africa before with my previous company. So the thing is the reputation and based on the behaviors of other Africans, foreigners in South Africa. Yeah. So a person will be very shy to actually associate themselves with the name of being a foreigner. Like myself, my boss used to ask me whether, when he saw me at the airport with my boyfriend, and he would ask me whether the boyfriend was a foreigner. I would actually say no, he's mixed. You understand? Because of I didn't want to associate myself with that reputation, because I might lose my job, or they might look at me in another way, even though that no, not everyone is like that. No, not everyone is dealing with drugs, is doing fraud. You understand?
True.
So
and not everyone is here illegally, Lesego.
Illegally, so it taints everyone. And then number two, I've actually, because I've actually lived in KZN as well, so I know that most people, they don't travel, and there's this social class and of discrimination to say that whenever I know that I've studied in KZN in Durban, so whenever you say foreigner, immediately, whether you are educated or not, they will put you in a certain class that I think it's because of the economy. They've come here because they are hungry or they are poor. You understand? And it's a tendency that people. I'm sorry to say, but Black South African, they put themselves high in a higher class than anyone who says he's a foreigner.
Yeah, got it. I got it. Lesego in the Johannesburg North. Thank you for that call.
Hi, 702, Zimbabwean here, living in South Africa since 2007, legally, that is. Still very much legal. But every time I'm asked where I'm from, I'm hesitant to answer that question because we are persecuted. You're persecuted trying to access public services, for example, even Home Affairs on its own. Everywhere you go, you are literally treated like second-class human being by virtue of being Zimbabwean. Even at the roadblocks with police, the moment they discover you're Zimbabwean, everyone they're trying to find how they can squeeze a rand out of you, if not, then how they can belittle you and do you down. By the way, I'm a professional, tax-paying, legal immigrant, but we face this.
Hi, Clement. I don't think that suggesting that people be mindful of asking people where they're from is philosophizing, because a person that doesn't know you from a bar of soap doesn't know your intentions as good as they might be. So I think you're a little bit unfair when responding to that voice note to say that you're not trying to regulate people. I don't think that's what the voice note was saying. It was simply saying that just be mindful that the person on the receiving end will not necessarily perceive it like that just because you would perceive it like that. This is Tidi.
Yeah, thank you, Tidi. And I think at the end of the day, it's about how you broach the conversation, right? I don't walk up to anybody just because I picked up their accent and I get there and say, where are you from? Like I'm a police officer. It doesn't start there. It starts with a conversation. How friendly are you in that conversation? How are you making the next person feel comfortable? In fact, I want to do it more now because I realize that there is an unfairness towards people who are not from this country. And we don't do that about people who are from the UK. We do it mostly about people who are from around the neighboring countries. That's where most of the unfairness comes. And I don't like that. I don't like that someone must lie about where they come from because we are going to assume that they are here illegally, or we're going to assume that they are burdening our health system, which is why I'm saying be friendly. Part of being Ubuntu is to have conversations. If you're from Zim, tell me about it. Oh, are you from Harare? Are you from Bulawayo? Oh, that's amazing. When last were you home? How are they? Have a conversation with them so that they can also feel that they are also people. But I find that a lot of us, well, not a lot of us, but there are some people who often change their attitude the minute someone says they're a foreigner from our neighboring countries. But if someone is a British foreigner, a European foreigner, for some reason, the treatment doesn't change at all. And it's for that basis that I want to make people comfortable who come from other countries, because I don't assume that every time someone shouts the name foreigner, then they must be here illegally.
Sir, ma'am, may I take your order?
Yeah, let me get the New York cut, medium rare, truffle fries on the side, and the lady'll have the salmon. Grilled, not poached. 2 dirty martinis. Real dirty.
Leafy, what's with the voice?
Oh, I came over all Tony Soprano.
Get into character on a city break with Premier Hotels and Resorts. Stay Friday and Saturday and get Sunday night for free. Book now at premierhotels.co.za.
You may be paying more for subscriptions, but with Outsurance, you could be saving on your car insurance. Like 45-year-old Nivan, who saves an impressive 461 Rand on his 2025 Volkswagen T-Cross. Get a quote now, and if Outsurance can save you money, ask for 500 Rand or 1,500 Rand if you're claim free and with the same insurer for 3 years. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Outsurance, licensed, insured, and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Bali Dlamini. The inquiry into Johannesburg prosecution's boss, Advocate Andrew Chauke, is expected to resume this morning, but there is a cloud of uncertainty about testimony by NPA boss, Advocate Shamila Batoyi. Before the hearings paused in December, Batoyi had been the first witness to testify against Chauke as the main complainant against him. The inquiry is investigating Chauke's conduct in office after Batoyi accused him of making politically motivated prosecutorial decisions. Khomotso Modise has more.
Outgoing head of the NPA, Advocate Shamila Batohi, is the main complainant against Johannesburg prosecution's boss, Advocate Andrew Chauke, accusing him of making questionable prosecutorial decisions, particularly regarding the prosecution of former KZN Hawks head Johan Boysen and the Cato Manor unit. But last year, as Batohi was questioned about her decision to withdraw the charges against Boysen without having read the docket against him, Batohi decided to stop testifying and seek legal advice, something that chairperson, retired Justice Besson Kabinde, reprimanded her for.
Chairperson, I was in the building. When I was told to come back, I did come back.
Do you want to walk away now?
I would appreciate it if I can be excused.
This is the request that you ought to have made before you behaved the way you did.
The inquiry says it expects Batohi back on the witness stand, but says the evidence leaders have written to her to inquire if she'll be ready to resume, and she had not responded by Friday. Khomotso Modise, Eyewitness News.
The 65 people charged with allegedly instigating the 2021 July unrest are set to return to the dock in the Durban High Court for a pre-trial hearing today. The group is implicated in the deadly riots and looting in parts of KZN as well as Gauteng. They also face terrorism-related charges. More than 450 people died during the wave of civil unrest that also cost the economy more than 50 billion rand. Nhlanhla Mabaso has more.
The state in the matter is alleging that the accused meticulously planned the riots using social media like WhatsApp groups. However, the state is yet to prove its case. NPA spokesperson Natasha Ramkissonkara.
The case returns to the Durban High Court today for a pre-trial conference. The charges against the accused include incitement to commit public violence as well as incitement to commit terrorism.
Since the arrests in 2022, the matter has seen several delays, with lawyers of some of the accused also pulling out. Meanwhile, another alleged instigator, Bonginkosi Khanyile, will also appear in court on similar charges for the anarchy. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
Unemployed youth are expected to protest outside the ANC's Luthuli House headquarters, that's in the Joburg CBD today. The protest by frustrated job seekers follows remarks by ANC National Chairperson Gwede Mantashe, who claimed that young people are not proactive when applying for jobs. During a TV interview with the SABC, Mantashe insisted the ANC has created an environment in which citizens expect the government to provide everything. His comments have angered many young people who believe that Mantashe appears out of touch with the lived realities of the unemployed. Alpha Ramashwana has more.
The National Youth Unemployment March is expected to begin near the Johannesburg Library this morning, with the ANC's national headquarters as its destination. Unemployed young people who've been searching tirelessly for job opportunities have been urged to bring their CVs and qualifications, which they will leave on the ANC's doorstep. Despite the uproar, the party's national chairperson, Gwede Mantashe, has not retracted his statements, maintaining that he was misunderstood. ANC Secretary General Fikile Mbalula recently urged Mantashe to clarify his remarks.
That matter, comrades, is not a joking matter. It must be clarified properly. Comrade Gwede, if he was not properly quoted, he must get to the media in the coming week and clarify himself.
Different civil and political organizations are expected to form part of today's march. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
To this now, some staff members remain stranded in isolated camps after severe flooding washed away roads and bridges at the Kruger National Park. Environment Minister Willie Okam says much of the park's aging infrastructure was never designed to withstand the climate change-driven weather. He adds that engineers will now need to redesign bridges and develop new water management systems to better cope with future flooding. Okam says helicopters have continued to deliver food and essential supplies to workers who have been cut off by the flood damage.
There are 3 bridges that washed away during the previous floods. And unfortunately, the efforts and the work that's been done to rebuild them has now also been in vain. But those 3 bridges were redesigned to have a better capability of withstanding floods in the future. The process of building them started a few months ago.
And at least 10 people have been killed in a massive storm which has hit parts of the USA. The storm has prompted warnings to stay off the roads, mass flight cancellations and power outages. The poweroutage.com tracking site showed more than 840,000 customers without electricity as of last night. Authorities from Texas to North Carolina, as well as New York, have urged residents to stay at home. At least 20 states and the U.S. capital, Washington, have declared states of emergency. Gold is trading at $5,073.89 an ounce. The rand is at 16.10 to the dollar, 21.95 to the pound, 19.06 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $65.88 a barrel.
And heading towards the city of Tshwane via Midrand, there's been an accident on the N1 North. It happened right near New Road. It's causing heavy delays coming out of the Baklu interchange. About a 20-minute hold up there. Please be on the lookout. While travelling in Bedfordview, we've got more delays on the N12 as well as the R24 West between the Edenville Road exit and the Glulies turnoff.
A partly cloudy Monday across Gauteng with afternoon thundershowers expected. Lows of between 16 and 18 degrees and highs of between 30 and 32. The top story in EWN this hour. The inquiry into Johannesburg prosecution's boss, Advocate Andrew Chauke, is expected to resume its proceedings today.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Nine minutes after 10 o'clock, Dumelang. Welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you so much for staying with us here on 702. Always appreciate your contribution on the 702 open line. You know what? I actually think we must expand on that conversation we started on the 702 open line. Of course, I don't think we had enough time to go deeper and deeper into it, but I think we must make some time to revisit that conversation, because I do think that we are a traumatized people. And I'm talking here about the conversation we had about some foreign nationals who would often be scared to tell us where they're from. Either one, like other listeners have suggested, because maybe they know that they don't have the right papers. That could be the case with some. Or two, it could be because they know the kind of attitudes that they get when they express where they're from. They know the kind of attitudes that they have dealt with before, so they're too traumatized, and that is why they will tend to lie about it, right? And I think there's a bigger conversation that we need to have about that. I think the mistake sometimes other people, especially locals, will make is assume that the minute someone is a foreign national, then it must mean that they're here illegally, or it must mean that they're overburdening our system. And, you know, like the other listener said, in some instances, in fact, when you ask someone that question, it may come across as if you're trying to police them. And I think the way to deal with that is just to be friendly in your dialogue. Like if you are going to come and be systematic and, you know, ask, you don't even know the person's name. You've not even had any other conversation with them, but you've already jumped to where are you from in such a systematic way as if you are regulating. And I'm suggesting that's not the way to go about it. But I think there's a bigger conversation there. So I'll get the producers to note it, and hopefully we can return to this chat at some point. We've also been talking on the 702 Open 9 this morning about what's happening in the city of Tshwane. There's this thing that they started In fact, it started with the last administration under Celia Brink, Tshwane Tima. It's continuing under Mayor Nasipi Moya. And what they do is go to these departments. Believe it or not, there are other government departments, quite a lot of them, in fact, who owe the municipality a lot of money. And they have visited some of those to try and switch them off or at least come to some sort of agreement. The latest the Tshwane city has done is go to the Department of Correctional Services to try and switch off Kgoshi Mampuru Correctional Facility because apparently it owes the city nearly 8 million rand in utility debt. The Correctional Services Department says that's not really true. The city made an error and they've since corrected it. That's why they left without switching off Kgoshi Mampuru prison. So there's a lot of contradictory information because the city says one thing, the Correctional Services Department tells us something completely different. So we've invited Eugene Modise, who is the Deputy Mayor of Tshwane, to join us on the line to clarify what really transpired here. Deputy Mayor, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Thank you, Clement Manyathela, and good morning to the listeners of 702.
Let's start with...
Perhaps before we go further,
yeah?
let me play my part as a resident, just to deposit my view on what you have said earlier.
Go ahead.
I'm referring to that dialogue is important.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you are much better placed as a radio to contribute to the national dialogue. What you can do when you speak to your producers, just ensure that maybe weekly have a conversation on this matter so that they can find expression in the national dialogue. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very, very much, Deputy Mayor. Go ahead now. Let's start with the Correctional Services, Kgoshi Mampuru Prison. The city officials went there because you believe that they owe the city nearly 8 million rand in utility debt. The Correctional Services Department told us this morning when we contacted them that no, that's not the case. You guys made an error and that's why you left without switching off Kgoshi Mampuru prison. What happened there? Can you clarify?
Yeah, just to put the context. Normally, when we go to do this exercise of Riatima, there's a process that we embark on each and every morning before identifying a client or a customer that owes us. That is standardized. So it was not only Kgoshi Mampuru, by the way. I was personally in Bavian's prison services. Mampuru are owing us 8 million rand, is guaranteed and is given. And tomorrow we've got a conversation with the CFO of the doctor, I forgot the name, in Tshwane House, just to deal with this impasse. Mm-hmm. It was unnecessary actually to name and shame in the media while they know exactly that they owe us. Mm-hmm. We've got a team that deals with departments. I'm referring to national and provincial departments. And I can safely tell you now, I had a conversation with the Premier on the provincial debt. He agreed that by the end of this month, they'll give us 60% of what they owe us because they have spoken to all the departments. Kgoshi Mampuru owes us, and the reason why we didn't switch off, I think you have an appreciation, is the institution itself, the entity, what it is. We are not going to be reckless, switch it off while there's prisoners and other things there, and we subject the institution into jeopardy.
Isn't that what the mayor said, though, on social media, that they would go and switch off, cut electricity to the Kgoshi Mampuru Correctional Center?
No, we will if the meeting of tomorrow fails to reach an agreement.
But you've just said now that you wouldn't be reckless enough to cut it, understanding what Kgoshi Mampuru is.
Let me explain the reckless component.
Uh-huh.
When you've got a customer, and we treat Kgoshi Mampuru as our customer, we furnish them with the bill, we interact with them, and we give them timelines. If they fail by this time, then we don't have no option but to cut. Does that make sense?
It does. But what doesn't make sense to me is that when we spoke to the Correctional Services Department this morning before we started the show, they said that they explained to you as the city that what you were doing was based on an incorrect account statement. And you since realized that, there's an error here, which is why you have not switched. You are telling me that, no, you actually came up to an agreement. And if they don't meet the agreement that you guys have come out to, you are going to switch them off. So who's lying to us?
Okay, perhaps let's use circumstantial evidence. If they don't owe us, why do they have to come to us to have a conversation? Number one. Number two, our system is a wonderful system. It calibrates the debts and all the customers each and every 24 hours. That is why, before we go to Clement Manyathela, we have evidence that Clement owes us R1 from this period to this period. And this is the history of the payment of Clement. And then that's when we come to Clement.
Okay.
But we don't come to Clement without having a conversation with Clement. We issue emails, SMS, and we've got a team that makes calls to our clients.
So by the time you go to your client, that means you're ready to switch off because all the other interdepartmental relations that you've tried to establish have not worked.
Yes.
So why then, when you went to the city, why then when you went to the correctional services last week, Koshimampuru, you didn't switch off? Because what preceded your visit there was the emails, was the calls, was all that communication. So why didn't you switch off?
Okay. I'm going to try to be clinical, but I won't disclose deeper. But let me tell you the configuration of the department. The premises, I'm referring to the facility, is owned by Public Works. And Prison Services uses the facility that is owned by Public Works. But they've got the responsibility to pay electricity, water, and rates. And in this instance, Public Works didn't play its part, and we realized that perhaps let's give them an opportunity to discuss that internally. I'm referring to intergovernmental relations, so that when we come back, they have already settled the matter. But they owe us. It's not a lie. What I can do, I can send you the bill, and you'll be able to verify this as facts, or am I lying?
Okay,
actually, there's no need for us to lie.
Okay, that would be great. Please, if you can share that. But please, can you advise what agreement have you come to now as we speak? How much will they need to pay, and what happens if they don't?
Oh, okay. This is how we approach our capital debts. We sit down with them, and then there's two options. One is to settle because they are saying they've got money. I don't know whether it's a claim or whatever. They settle their account, and then we'll remove the interest instantly. Number two, they pay 50% of the debt, and we make an arrangement. That's how we are going to approach it.
Okay, what have they agreed to do, though?
No, we're meeting tomorrow, like I said. We're meeting tomorrow.
Okay. Oh, so you're meeting tomorrow to agree on a settlement, and then if that is not met, that's when you're going to act.
Yes. You'll be the first to be notified on the action subsequent to our meeting.
Okay, cool. How has the campaign been going so far? Because it seems like there are a number of private businesses where we've seen the city posting pictures on social media where businesses are being switched off, but there are some government departments as well. I know you visited CETA, the SAPS College in Pretoria West, of course the Koshimampuru Correctional Services as well, but the Department of Labor as well. Are there a lot of state institutions that have simply stopped paying for utilities?
Yes, and it's strange because in terms of our understanding that each and every institution have got a CFO, and they've got managers in different districts or branches who are responsible for the day-to-day running of the institutions. So it's unfortunate. I don't know why they are doing this. And I'll cite one unfortunate incident, the Vescopis Hospital. When we do that exercise, they don't look at the gravity or the amount we are owed and the duration. They just look at our action without even considering why is Vescopis not paying on time while they've got funds, they've got a CFO who's responsible for the finances. Then when we act as if we are out of tune. But let me tell you the wonderful part of this program. In October 2025, we reached 4 billion rand collection, the first in the life of Tshwane and the entire country as a municipality. That's a milestone, and this demonstrates that this action or this program is bearing fruits.
Okay, how do you then balance ensuring that these institutions pay? I mean, let's take Vescopis, for instance. One of our listeners called in and said, when you do something like that, it doesn't come across as if you're in an administration that is humane, that cares about the people that institution houses, for instance. So how do you balance, one, the need to get the institutions to pay as they're legally required to, but two, being humane in your approach so that you at least mitigate or expect the consequences should we switch off at these institutions?
Forever we are driven by humility. That is why we keep the record of our conversation, interaction with the clients. Look, let me perhaps juxtapose what we are saying to what the residents are subjected to. There's an area called Bachanabukwena in Harangua. They've got an 8 pipe of sewer, which is residing in sanitation. It burst. Now the schools have reopened. It cut across the school. Those people have been subjected to this kind of stinking, unfavorable, and unhealthy situation. Then Vescopis is having our money that we can use to repair that pipe. So what must we do in the process? But again, we don't wake up and just go to a client and switch off.
Mm-hmm.
We communicate effectively, and we've got records to that effect.
Yeah. Okay. Another allegation that came from the DA chief whip, who also called us on the open line, is that you guys don't target businesses where your comrades have interests in.
Yeah, the lady is obsessed. She's struggling with nostalgia. You know what they did? They went to Murula Sunday, the entity owned by Northwest, wherein we are managing the property.
Who's we?
They went to, I'm referring us, Mzansi Promotions.
So that's a company that you are involved with, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Then in the process, they tried to relegate the responsibility of the Northwest Department to us because of their forever witch hunting. And unfortunately, they found that we don't have a contract or the account with the municipality. And what I did...
Don't you own the Northwest Housing Corporation over 12 million rand for the rental of the Murulasan property?
No. And actually, you are helping me just to clarify this on air. When we entered into agreement, there were things that were supposed to be honored by Northwest Housing Corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And by then, they didn't have money. We used our money from our pockets to conduct renovations and the likes. And the worst was the roofing. The roofing was leaking because it was old and bad. And we invested a lot of money in that, and they were supposed to reimburse us. But in the process, they couldn't. That is why now the matter is before court, sub judice. But let me just finalize what I was trying to state. We found that the water owed to the city was 800,000 rand, which is not in our account. And in our agreement, we are not responsible for water. We are responsible for security, maintenance, and the likes. But we paid 400,000, and we made agreement so that we can settle that, just to quell the tension, which is unnecessary actually, because they forever want to appear as if they understand. They are in pain that we have managed to get a funded budget and our finances are stable. Yeah. As we speak, they are fighting us for not paying, for paying the employees 3.5 increase. Imagine employees not getting increase for 4 years. Their salaries have been eroded by many things. Now they are angry and they have spent at the cost. Actually, they were supposed to pay 400 million rand by then as the agreement of bargaining council. Now we are going to pay 1.8 billion rand, and we are prepared to pay it. That's why we are making means so that our employees are happy.
Okay.
Because those are our assets.
All right. Eugene Modise, let me thank you. I thought I should also put up to you what the DA chief whip in Tshwane, Jackie, said to us earlier on the allegation around the Mzansi Resort, a company partly owned by Eugene Modise, who is the Deputy Mayor of Tshwane. Thanks for making time for us and looking forward to the documents you will send us to prove the correctional service is wrong. And I will also confirm it to the listeners as well, because someone is not telling us the truth here. It's 26 after 10.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your clientele legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 Rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
South Africa's musical theatre classic Marabi returns on the stage of the Market Theatre with an exceptional cast. Launching the theatre's 50th anniversary year, this much-loved play live music is directed by original cast member Arthur Molepo, set in the tough Doornfontein yards of the 1930s. Marabi follows a family chasing hope in Johannesburg, bound by love, loss, and unforgettable music. Marabi runs from the 29th of January to the 15th of February. Visit markettheatre.co.za for tickets.
From pioneering investments in the telecom sector to getting a foot in the door in the early days of private media, the Mine Workers Investment Company has always been on the lookout for new and innovative companies to advance South Africa as a nation, while building financial security for our country's mine workers and their families. As we end a year of looking back on 3 decades of incredible successes, we look forward to the next 3 decades and beyond. Join us as we celebrate 30 years of MIC.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
On the next Money Show, we're joined by Amanda Kromhout, the CEO and founder of Truth, a leading customer centricity and loyalty consultancy. She'll share her journey with you on how I make my money. In our business book feature, we speak to Matthew Parks, COSATU's parliamentary leader, about the latest book he's been reading and why it grabbed his attention. And, of course, we bring you expert analysis of the day's biggest business stories.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB. That's how we're invested in your story. Your story matters. ABSA is a registered FSP.
10:30, time for the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Mbali, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. Acting Deputy National Police Commissioner in KZN, Anthony Gopal, has taken the hot seat at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today. Gopal is set to answer questions linked to the work of the Political Killings Task Team as well as its disbandment. Proceedings in the inquiry resumed today following a break over the festive season. The commission was established by President Cyril Ramaphosa last year to investigate allegations of corruption within the criminal justice system. Staying in inquiries, the proceedings into Johannesburg prosecution's boss, Advocate Andrew Chauke, are expected to resume today, but there is a cloud of uncertainty about testimony by NPA boss, Advocate Shamila Batoyi. Before the hearings paused in December, Batoyi had been the first witness to testify against Chauke as the main complainant against him. And fears of a dam collapse in Mpumalanga are mounting following a warning by the Department of Water and Sanitation. The department issued an urgent public alert warning about structural concerns at the Sintiko Dam last week. It urged residents downstream of that dam to immediately evacuate. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, traffic remains heavily backed up heading towards the city of Tshwane. This is on the N1 North between the Baklu interchange and Olifantsfontein Road. About a 20-minute hold up along this route due to roadworks as well as an accident that I'm seeing along this route. So please be on the lookout there. The N1 South heading towards Olifantsfontein Road is also backed up. This is due to the delays on the opposite side of the road. Then if you are traveling on the R55 towards Centurion, do expect delays coming out of Olifantsfontein Road. And there's also slow-moving traffic on the N12 West. This is in the Bedfordview area between Edenville Road and the Glulies interchange. If you're heading towards Amalgam, do expect delays on the M2 West between the Crown interchange and the Crownwood Road exit. More updates coming up. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
All right, it's 10:32. We start the conversation that, in fact, it's a series that we started about 3 weeks ago. And we're going to be doing it for the next couple of weeks because, yeah, believe it or not, there are quite a number of countries, several countries, where the U.S. has intervened militarily. So we decided, because of the changing geopolitical environment and, you know, the rules-based order that's been thrown out, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. America has decided to go into Venezuela and kidnap a president and dictate to them how they should even use their resources. I mean, the other day, Donald Trump, the president of the U.S., was talking about, you know, what profit they have received from selling the Venezuelan oil. And that money goes to an account that's controlled by the U.S. That money is going to benefit both the U.S. and Venezuela. And then he also started talking about Greenland. So we thought, it's not only Greenland, by the way, spoke about Cuba as well. So we thought, let's do a series that looks at the countries that America has invaded. And maybe you don't want to call it an invasion, you want to call it military intervention. But there are a number of countries that America has intervened militarily. And I think it's important that we start reflecting on that, look at the justifications that were given at the time. How were the countries left behind when America was done with its intervention? And that will help us at least anticipate moves that are coming. And we can also pick up from the explanations and justifications we're given, and we're able to reference it with what has happened in the past. So far we've told you about Vietnam. We've told you about Iraq. And what I would like us to focus on today is Libya. Because for over a decade, Libya has been in a state of perpetual political turmoil and crisis because of what happened in 2011 when NATO intervened, because that ended the Gaddafi regime, right? There were people who were rebelling against the authoritarian regime, and throughout the greater Middle East in the late 2010s and early 2011, we started experiencing the Arab Spring. And the United States and its European allies pondered how to respond. Hence, in 2011, then the United States led that intervention in Libya. NATO assumed formal command of that Libya military intervention known as the Operation Unified Protector. But that's even though NATO was actually officially in charge, the operation itself remained predominantly a U.S. mission. So we've invited Professor Christopher Isike to join us on the line, who's the director of the African Center for the Study of the United States at the University of Pretoria. Professor Isike, thank you so much for making time. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Thank you for having me, and good morning to your listeners.
This 2011 intervention in Libya was always framed sort of as a response to the Arab Spring and an urgent humanitarian crisis. But was it, right? To what extent was the Libya intervention about civilian protection, and how much of it was driven by strategic and geopolitical interests of the United States and its European allies?
Well, look, so this interestingly, the Libyan case that you're focusing on today, if you compare to the other interventions by the US or even the UN, the Libya case is the one that was actually legal because it was approved by the UN Security Council. Of course, with NATO coming in and the US acting from behind the scenes, to help NATO and the UN Security Council to enforce the resolution that enabled it to intervene in the case of Libya. But the issue here is that when the UN Security Council voted for that resolution to intervene in Libya, it was based on humanitarian grounds. So it was going to be a humanitarian intervention to protect civilians, not necessarily to overthrow the government of Gaddafi or change the regime as it turned out to be. But in practice, it shifted very quickly to regime change. And once the regime eventually fell, there was no plan to rebuild the place, the state. There was no political strategy for reconstruction, and that quickly made Libya to degenerate into some form of civil war, which completely broke the state of Libya. So that's the one thing. The fact that and maybe the question, the answer here lies in the interest, like you pointed out, of key actors like the United States that had long wanted Muammar Gaddafi out, not necessarily because of the oppression of his people as they claim, but because of the kind of politics he was playing in terms of unifying the continent, speaking about de-dollarization, which is something that the U.S. government then and even now, and the ones before the Obama one and the current one, frowned on, because the U.S. economy is hinged on dollarization of the international economy. So those were the interests that converged with those of the US, and that's why it easily became a regime change instead of the humanitarian intervention that the United Nations Security Council originally voted for.
And we know how the US feels about de-dollarization. I mean, remember when BRICS was even having conversations about it, Trump came out to threaten additional tariffs on countries that associate with BRICS. So let's look at the post-war evidence then, because it's got to suggest something to us. I mean, and at least to me, when I look at what's transpired, it looks like NATO, like that post-war evidence suggests that NATO prioritized the removal of Gaddafi, even at the risk of state collapse. So how predictable was Libya's post-war chaos, and who should bear responsibility for the aftermath?
Well, it was predictable, like we said, because they wanted regime change, and the US quickly helped to, like I said, enforce the no-fly zone, which prevented the mass area bombardment of civilians. So to that extent, they succeeded in preventing the killings of Libyans by the government. So if you look at the military objective, they did achieve that, and then they also helped to neutralize Libyan air defenses that prepared the rebel forces to advance with the support of NATO support, right? And of course, then Gaddafi collapsed. So the absence of a political strategy for rebuilding, which also speaks to the original intention of going there, remove Gaddafi, and then that's it, is problematic, because after that, Libya fractured into rival power centers with competing governments in the east and west, and lots of militias all vying for control. So this was caused by the lack of a coherent post-conflict political strategy. And for me, that is the key element of the failure of that intervention, because what we saw, if you talk about the aftermath, was a prolonged civil war that erupted in 2014 that led to further and even worse humanitarian suffering, the destruction of infrastructure in Libya, and interruption of public service, to a point where the statehood of Libya was questioned.
19 minutes before 11 o'clock. If you want to talk about the Arab Spring, what happened when America intervened, together with its European allies through NATO, when they intervened in Libya, maybe you've got questions about that, or you want to share perhaps some of the information that piqued your interest. If this is something you've followed very closely, you can call us on 011-883-0702. Your WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702.
Kick off to glory with Hollywood Bets and Asi Shege. Be in the game. Go full speed ahead with the epic competition. You stand to win a share of 4 million rand in cash and prizes, including an all-new Toyota Corolla Cross. Bet 10 rand or more on any soccer fixture or fixtures online or at your nearest branch. Live life in the fast lane. Bet now for your chance to score.
T's and C's apply.
Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
Water infrastructure vandalism has tragic and dangerous consequences. The theft of manhole covers can result in fatalities, especially among children. Each damaged pipe, illegal hookup, or vandalized pump jeopardizes access to clean water, disrupts service, and threatens public safety. Report suspicious activity to the City of Johannesburg at 0800 002 587. Help combat water infrastructure vandalism. Your alertness can prevent disasters. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water utility that cares.
Let's hear from Chantal and Mel, owners of Jelly Body and Nail Studio, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
We were with our previous insurer for about 4 years, and when we decided to switch, it was actually a flawless process. It definitely pays to switch.
For beauty salons, convenience stores, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online. You keep your brain trained like a well-oiled machine. Now it's time to put your brain in the game, because the brain of 702 is back with your chance to flex your general knowledge smarts.
In which country is the famous statue Christ the Redeemer?
Enter now on primemediaplus.com. Then catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa and 702 Drive with John Perlman. There's 3,000 Rand up for grabs every day. Brain of the Week wins 10,000 Rand and a spot in the finals to compete for the title of the Brain of 702 and an awesome 30,000 Rand cash on 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
15 minutes before 11 o'clock, there are a number of countries that were invaded by the U.S. And this series we started a few weeks ago just focuses on each of those countries every single Monday. We've already looked at Vietnam. We've looked at Iraq and how America intervened, and today we're focusing on Libya with Professor Christopher Isike, who's the director of the African Center for the Study of the United States at the University of Pretoria. Nare, let's start with your call. You're calling us from Blegori. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
My thought is, I think a lot of people, we focus on America, but we don't focus on Russia. Because Russia actually is the one that, when you look in Libya as well, in Syria and as well, all those countries, they had dictators. Those dictators there, they were put by Russia. Even at Gaddafi himself, he was put by Russia. So what Russia was doing back then, it used to remove a government, the government that was there, through a coup. That was what happened. So, and then those dictators, after that, they don't relinquish power. So it was as well there, the people of Libya, we didn't want Gaddafi, you understand? So somehow, those dictators have to be removed somehow. You cannot have someone in power forever. Somehow, I think.
Okay, Nara in Blegori, thank you so much. Professor Isike, Nara says, well, at the end of the day, people on the ground were divided on Muammar Gaddafi, the leader of Libya. So as you respond to that, there's a message from Kinsley on the WhatsApp line who says, Clement, please, can you ask your West? Can you ask your guest there? Did the West, in a substantial way, agitate or manipulate conditions for the unrest and an opportunity to overthrow Gaddafi? And why have international bodies repeatedly failed to prevent various United States governments from interfering in and violently overthrowing sovereign governments all over the world? Yes, Professor Isike?
Okay, so if I'm to respond to the first one, first, this show is about the role of the U.S. interventions, right, in particular countries. So that's why we're looking at the U.S. It doesn't mean that there are no other actors. We've mentioned NATO in this case, right? But yes, Russia plays a significant role as well in Libya before, like he said, but mostly more visibly so after the intervention, the UN US intervention, where they came in and primarily backed Eastern Commander Khalifa Haftar and the Libyan National Army, to secure geopolitical, military, and perhaps also economic influence. So these countries, different countries play different roles, and this is this sad situation of how giving so much power to those that are supposed to be responsible for our collective security globally, but giving them so much power to do as they please with little accountability, because all of them in the Security Council, well, most of them, if you look at the US, if you look at Russia, if you look at China, have been involved in one form of intervention or the other, abuse or the other in different parts of the world, and they all have imperial ambitions. And this goes to answering the second question of why the US have not been raiding. The US have not been raiding because most of these other countries that could have been able to do so are themselves complicit in doing exactly what the US is doing now. They've done it at some point, or they have ambitions to do it later. So they're watching the US quietly, so that they're studying it. So at the end of the day, they can say, well, we're going to do ours. And if you talk, we'll refer you to when you did yours, and we supported, or at most, we're neutral. So we expect you to do the same thing. And this is a problem, going back to the way security is governed globally by a few countries that have so much power without any accountability, like I said. And it calls for why we should begin to rethink what we mean by collective security, the role that the United Nations Security Council has to play in that, and of course, even reforming the Security Council itself to either get rid of the veto power or extend the Security Council and give every single new member the same veto power that the current holders of that power have.
Has it always been the modus operandi, though? When we look at the countries the U.S. Has intervened in militarily to sort of begin with unhappiness on the ground. Hence the question by Kingsley about the role the West has played in agitating or manipulating conditions for an unrest. I remember when what was happening in Iran, President Trump went out to the media, publicly and said to the Iranians, please come out of your homes, go to the streets, we are on our way. And one could argue that historically, history has taught us that that's where it begins. If you really want to come into a country, you need the support of the citizens. So you start agitating and manipulating conditions, and sometimes even legitimate concerns by the locals and the citizens. Manipulate that, interfere in that, and then at least you can use a reason and say, oh, there's a new humanitarian crisis and therefore we need to respond to that. Has that been a modus operandi of the West?
Yeah, it has. It has been the case, for me, that will not be it will not work as successfully as it has worked in places where they've tried it. If, for example, the local state, the national state itself, the government of the state itself was fully alive to its responsibilities to its own citizens. You understand? So if we take the case of Libya, for example, and generally in Africa, we have a problem of the state where our politicians have a wrong conception of what the state is supposed to be about. And our leaders, instead of governing the state for the interests of everyone, they govern it for their own interests, right? Because they misunderstand fundamentally what government is supposed to be about and what the role of the state is. So that's the problem we have generally in the continent. But for Libya, if you look at it from another angle, of course, Gaddafi did develop Libya, did do well for his state. As at the time that he was overthrown, he had some of the highest levels of human development index in terms of education, in terms of employment, in terms of life expectancy, compared to some of the states that were even coming after him, and of course in Africa broadly, right? But the problem of muzzling the opposition, denying them and marginalizing minorities, as he did with the eastern part of the country, eventually led to his downfall. So the point I'm making is that, yes, this is a modus operandi. They always tend to exploit cleavages and weaknesses within the state. But if those weaknesses are not there in the first place, then it will be difficult for the West to use that modus operandi successfully.
Yeah, true. And now the question is, has the situation improved? We'll get into that after this. It's 8 minutes before 11.
So let me get this straight. You found a tertiary institution.
Yep, Emirates.
That offers a high-performance education.
Yes.
And uses real-world case studies in its course material.
Uh-huh.
Lets you develop your own ideas on how to solve real-world problems.
Yeah, well, yes.
All so you can make your mark in the working world from day one.
Indeed.
But you haven't registered yet.
Yes. No.
Unbelievable. Register at emirates.ac.za.
Okay, I'm doing it.
Emirates is an educational brand of the Independent Institute of Education.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and all citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9 featuring Hollywood Beds. Their spokesperson, Mpumelelo Lembede, will be in conversation with Bongani Bingwa. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Okay, truck 7, that has 0 warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without MyWay's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. MyWay is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. MyWay. Live your way.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
6 minutes before 11 o'clock. Let's start with you. Johannes calling us from Secunda. What are your thoughts or your question, Johannes? Good morning.
Good morning, Clement.
Sure.
First caller.
Oh, welcome.
First thing I want to ask, what is the situation now? Under Qatar, people, they were living much better than this condition. Number two, when Mandela wanted to fly to meet with Gaddafi, I don't know, understand, he didn't fly. Only he drove to meet Gaddafi so that he can hand over those people of Lockerbie bomb. And after that, they kill Gaddafi. So what I'm asking, Mandela did interfere that those people who do a bomb or Lockerbie. After that, they kill Gaddafi because the situation between America and Libya was not good.
Yes. No. Johannes, thank you so much for your question. Thank you for your call in Secunda. Prof, Johannes is asking about the situation also now as we speak. Has it changed? Because I mean, since what happened in 2011, it's almost like Libya has become the hub for armed militias and extremist groups. So more than a decade later, how would you describe the situation on the ground, including the political divisions and just the security crisis that seems to continue to threaten Libya's stability?
No, it's a mess now, and it's worse than what it was before. And the case of Libya shows that even when legal interventions, even when interventions are legal, they can be disastrous if the intervention simply comes in, to change the regime, destroy the state, and then just walk away, right? So I've said before that this was one invasion, that had a UN Security Council approval. Yet it became one of the most destabilizing interventions of the 21st century. And that makes Libya a turning point in how the world should view humanitarian intervention going forward. It's either you are going to intervene properly and completely, and if you can't do that, don't intervene at all. So here the problem really wasn't the intervention; it was intervention without responsibility. Okay, so and I hope that at the end of the day, the world can learn that even when you talk about the principle of the R2P, responsibility to protect, which was kind of what led to this intervention, humanitarian intervention, it should be done responsibly in a way that will not just result in regime change, but will enable reconstruction and support, like we saw the U.S. did in Afghanistan. But that is also not sustainable at some point, because you saw how the U.S. also left.
They left
But again,
abruptly.
look at what has abruptly, and that's been a problem, right? Going back to status quo. You ask the question of why did they even go there in the first place? The same thing now in Venezuela. Mr. Trump doesn't like Maduro. Gets a reason to intervene because of what he has heard from business oil company executives, and then he goes in there, removes Maduro, and walks away. But if his original intention was the people of Venezuela, leaving the regime fully intact except Maduro and the wife, how has that helped the people of Venezuela if that was really the intention? So we must begin to look at these things, and different countries of the world must also do what is right. Going back to the case of Russia very quickly, Russia had all kinds of arms and military cooperation with Libya when Gaddafi was there. It viewed Gaddafi as a useful anti-Western ally, right? But then when the vote came to the UN Security Council, resolution 1973 that authorized the no-fly zone, what did Russia do? Russia did not veto that UN Security Council. If it had done so, considering that it was in good relationship with Libya, if it had wanted to protect Gaddafi, it would have done so, vetoed it, and it would not have been approved. Of course, maybe the US would have tried other ways to go, but at least Russia would have been on history. So it also tells us that all of these countries, whether be it China, be it US or Russia, all of them do not come to Africa because they like us. They have their specific interests, and those interests are theirs, not ours. So while we can deal with them, we shouldn't delink from them. We can deal with them, but we must deal with them with a consciousness of what we stand to benefit from it, and with a consciousness of acting collectively as a continent rather than allowing these people to just run shoved over us.
Yeah, Professor Christopher Isike, thank you so much for joining us, Director of the African Center for the Study of the United States at the University of Pretoria.
Is your skin itchy, flaky, red or discolored? You may have a fungal skin infection. Turbane treats a variety of fungal skin infections like skin thrush, a red and itchy rash with small pimples, usually in damp skin areas. Ringworm, a ring-shaped, sometimes itchy rash. Athlete's foot, itchy, red, discolored or peeling skin on your feet or toes. And jock itch. Turbane kills skin fungus, and you only need to use the cream once or twice daily for 1 week compared to other 4-week treatments. Ask your pharmacist about Turbane cream and say goodbye to fungal skin infections.
Join the Department of Human Settlements, government and industry leaders, innovators and visionaries at the Summit on Innovative Building Technologies, where cutting-edge solutions are shaping sustainable, inclusive and resilient human settlements. Tune in to 702 on the 3rd of February, broadcasting live at the Nasrec Expo Center, Johannesburg, from 9 a.m. To 12 p.m. Visit dhs.gov.za for more. The Department of Human Settlements houses security and comfort.
Whether you're a business owner in dentistry or in hospitality, switch to Outsurance Business Insurance today, and you could get a massive 20% discount on your business insurance premium.
It was a quick process. I saved a lot of money.
Get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. SMS business to 47543. That's business to 47543. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Bali Dlamini. We begin with news just in. The man accused of orchestrating the murder of Warwick Stock, popularly known as DJ Warris, has been denied bail. Judgment in his bail application was handed down in the Joburg Magistrates Court a short while ago. Victor Machola, a 44-year-old Soweto taxi boss, will remain in custody following his arrest last year. Stock was gunned down in the Joburg CBD on December 16th in what is believed to have been a hit linked to work his security company was doing with hijacked buildings. In her judgment, Magistrate Annelies Klapi said the evidence against Majola was overwhelming and his release on bail would jeopardize the investigation into Stock's murder. Acting Deputy National Police Commissioner in KZN, Anthony Gopal, has taken the hot seat at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today. Gopal has testified about an unusual phone call he allegedly received from suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu over why the Political Killings Task Team was investigating the death of a councillor. Gopal is providing evidence to the Commission today about the death of ANC Mandeni councillor Pendugani Mapida. Mapida was shot and killed at his home on the 5th of February 2025, just a few months after Mchunu's letter disbanding the Political Killings Task Team. Gopal says on the night of Mapida's killing, he received a call from Mchunu for the first time ever.
And the minister then asked me, but why are they investigating the case? I had instructed that these cases be investigated at the police station where the crime takes place. And understanding why, in my own way, I tried to explain to the minister that when it comes to the political killings, the team that is investigating these kind of murders are better equipped and trained to understand the modus operandi of how these murders take place.
The 65 people charged with allegedly instigating the 2021 July unrest are set to return to the dock in the Durban High Court for pre-trial hearing. The group is implicated in the deadly riots and looting in parts of KZN as well as Gauteng. They also face terrorism-related charges. More than 450 people died during the wave of civil unrest that also cost the economy more than 50 billion rand. Nhlanhla Mabaso has more.
The state in the matter is alleging that the accused meticulously planned the riots using social media like WhatsApp groups. However, the state is yet to prove its case. NPA spokesperson Natasha Ramkissonkara.
The case returns to the Durban High Court today for a pre-trial conference. The charges against the accused include incitement to commit public violence as well as incitement to commit terrorism.
Since the arrests in 2022, the matter has seen several delays, with lawyers of some of the accused also pulling out. Meanwhile, another alleged instigator, Bonginkosi Khanyile, will also appear in court on similar charges for the anarchy. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News, Durban.
Fears of a dam collapse in Mpumalanga are mounting following a warning by the Department of Water and Sanitation. The department issued an urgent public alert warning about structural concerns at the Sentico Dam last week. It urged residents downstream of the dam to immediately evacuate. An excavator was mobilized on Saturday to widen the emergency side channel spillway in a bid to lower the water level in the dam. Nogukanya Mtambo has the details.
The Sentico Dam is a 26-meter high, medium-sized dam with a storage capacity of 1.8 million cubic meters. It's owned by Shamil Communal Property Association and is used for irrigation purposes. The Department of Water and Sanitation says the dam is at risk of failure due to the impact of the recent heavy rains in the region. An emergency safety assessment conducted by the department's Dam Safety Office has confirmed that the dam's slipway structure suffered severe and irreversible deterioration, including advanced erosion and undercutting, leading to structural instability. It says failure of the dam may occur without further warning. The head of the Dam Safety Unit in the department, Wali Ramaphosa, is set to join a team of engineers at the dam today for further assessments. Nogukanya Mtambo, Eyewitness News.
And at least 10 people have been killed in a massive storm which has hit parts of the USA today. The storm has prompted warnings to stay off the roads, mass flight cancellations and power outages. The poweroutage.com tracking site showed more than 840,000 customers without electricity as of last night. Authorities from Texas to North Carolina as well as New York have urged residents to stay indoors. At least 20 states and the U.S. capital, Washington, have declared states of emergency. Gold is trading at $5,072.18 an ounce. The rand is at 16.07 to the dollar, 21.97 to the pound, 19.06 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $65.87 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North. This is between Allenhill Road and Olifantsfontein Road in the Midrand area due to an earlier accident as well as roadworks. And speaking of roadworks, we've got more taking place in the Boksburg area, and they are causing delays between Rondebolt Road and Osborne Road.
A partly cloudy Monday across Gauteng with afternoon thundershowers expected. Lows of between 16 and 18 degrees and highs of between 30 and 32. The top story in EWN this hour. The man accused of orchestrating the murder of Warwick Stock, popularly known as DJ Warris, has been denied bail.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 11 o'clock. Sanbonani, Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Time now for our Family Matters feature.
702.
Family Matters.
Today we're discussing competition in relationships on our Family Matters feature. How do you deal with competition in relationships? And we're talking about a broad stroke of relationships, right? Whether it's with your friends, whether it's relationships with your, it's with your romantic partner, maybe it's with your family members. Someone mentioned earlier that it could also be with your parents, because apparently there are parents that can be jealous of their own children. I cannot even imagine to begin how possible that could be. How does a parent get jealous of their own child? But the reality is competition in relationships, whether they are familial or friendships, they do exist. Many of us have experienced it. Feeling compared maybe to a sibling was your experience. Maybe you've sensed tension with a friend when life starts going well, or you've noticed that support turns into subtle rivalry. I mean, it's not always going to be loud or obvious, but it can affect how safe you feel, how much you share, and how close you remain to the people around you. So why does competition show up in relationships that are meant to be supportive? Is it even normal? And how do we deal with it in a healthy way without damaging important relationships or losing ourselves in the process? I would like you to share your own experiences with us. Have you ever experienced competition within your family environment? Maybe you've got a sister or a brother who competes with you. Maybe you are the one that is quite competitive. And at what point does it stay on healthy grounds? And at what point does it cross the line and it becomes unhealthy, where people start wishing negative things on each other? Please share your thoughts with us if that's an environment that you were raised in, where there was competition. Or maybe it was the parents themselves who actually got you as siblings to compete, because the parent was always comparing you with another sibling. Or maybe you've picked up competition in your friendship. Do you have friends that are like jealous of you? That are always competing with you? Or are you a type of friend that is always highly competitive? Or maybe it's between you and your partner, your spouse. I mean, someone once called on this show a few years ago and said they graduated, right? It was a wife who graduated, a woman who's married, graduated, and guess what? The husband didn't go to the graduation. The husband didn't even congratulate his wife for graduating with, I think it was a master's. How hectic is that? How are you able to even be in the same house and feel safe and loved with someone who's unable to get themselves to acknowledge an achievement like that for you? How have you dealt with instances of competition in your relationships? 011-883-0702 is the number you can dial. You can send your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. Kifile Mojapilu is a social worker who's going to guide us through this conversation. Kifile, great to chat to you again. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and thank you so much for having me. And compliments. I think we wanted this year. Compliments.
Yes, we're speaking for the first time this year. Compliments to you too. Let's start with just the definition. How would you define competition in these relationships? Because some people might argue that, yeah, but we need competition so, we can encourage each other and we can do better with each other. I guess then the question would be, what is unhealthy competition?
For me, within this context, I would say a competition is where I find myself in a situation or a position where I want to be superior than the other person over another person. So within a family context, I want to find myself Gilly the better one. I win, I do this, and all those I do to me and me and me solely. So for me, that I would say that is a competition within a family context.
Oh, okay. And can that be kick-started by an elder, a guardian, a parent? I used an example of, we grow up, sometimes you've got parents who compete, who get the children to compete. So they'll start comparing Clement with Zeb, or, oh, look at Zeb, you are stupid, or look at what Zeb was able to achieve. How can that be a factor that introduces an unhealthy level of competition in the family?
Definitely. And sometimes we do it unconsciously. You'd be congratulating rather the other, and you don't keep in mind, you're not relationally intelligent enough to understand what is happening, what is at play, how is the other feeling when I'm doing this. So that's what I would promote more as a parent. When we say things, we must be conscious enough of those who are listening to us, other kids, what it creates in them. So it can be done very directly, and it can also be done in a subtle manner and unconsciously even.
Why do you think competition shows up more intensely among people who are close? Because I don't know how I would deal with competition in a case where it's an important relationship to me, because I would think that that relationship is meant to be supportive. If I've got a sibling, I don't want to be competing with them. I want to live my life. I want them to live their lives, and I want us to support each other. Similarly so with friends, similarly so with a partner. So why do you think competition actually shows up so intensely, even among these people that are so close to us?
I honestly feel like it's because of the proximity. I know you are my sister, and if you can do it, why can't I? Why can't it be me? Because anyway, that's the mindset I'm harboring or I'm having. So because I know your flaws, I know things that sometimes I'm even the one who empowered you to get where you are, because we are supporting each other like that as siblings. So because you tend to now have a better life compared to mine, I'm like, but why not me? Because you are too close. I know how you got there. I can see. So it's like, but I'm also deserving to be there. Hence, then the competition.
So how do I know that this is, unhealthy competition? Because, what are the signs to look out for? Because there are people who may be listening to this conversation and they have had maybe their siblings, sort of use certain references to say, yeah, but if you can do it, why can't I? And they've never really defined that as competition because they just don't know how to pick it up. So what are the telltale signs to look out for to know that there's an unhealthy competition going on here?
There would be those, first of all, lack of support, and then certain utterances that you hear, or this is shouldn't be said by this person. And every time you try to rise up on something, somebody is like they're countering you without you being aware. And the sad part, when it hits when you least expect it. Or somebody else will conscientize, or hey man, why is your sister like this? You got married. Now why are they also now getting married just soon after you? So some of the things you see, oh, this is what's happening. This person is actually in a competition with me, because you honestly never think. Your mind can never take you there to say they are. So you see signs, the way they speak to you, the way they approach you, the way they don't come to your events, or the way they sabotage you on certain things, but that is so subtle. So you'd see those signs.
How should we respond to signs like that? I mean, is it better to just cut off ties because that's unhealthy, or do you sit down with that sibling, that friend, that partner and say, I'm picking up this kind of attitude from you. What's going on?
I of course, Clement, I will say the latter, to say I promote psychosocial well-being, and I nurture relationships, and I want families that are functional. So definitely I would say sit down. And until then, it's irreconcilable, where you are seeing that I'm fighting a losing battle. That will be the ultimate, or it will automatically follow after your efforts. But because we are families, I would of course encourage sitting and talking. And sometimes you don't have to necessarily, I like forcing situation. So sometimes I would say force yourself over a person. When they say something, you're like, no, we are sisters, you can't do that. Tell them so that they hear it. It rings in their head. Maybe they forgot for some reason. Because also, like we are speaking, it's a family. Some of the things we were socialized into. Our mothers were speaking in a certain way that made me hate my sister, because of the way at that time I was scolded down, or I was spoken down, because she won, she got an award and I didn't. And my mom now started in some way, indirectly or unconsciously, planting that seed within a growing human being. Today we see it now. It's like, oh, I got married, my sister is getting married. I got this car, she's getting a car, the same one. Or what is this? So definitely I would say, let's sit, have that family meeting, and be comfortable with those uncomfortable conversations. And that's why I feel like many of us I don't want to go there. If it's uncomfortable, you'd rather zoom out and go and ignore and avoid and evade the space that allows you to sit. So unfortunately, we need to emotionally mature to that degree where we should apply relational intelligence to say, I'm just not doing this for myself, but for the generation Yarona, as this lineage Yabo Mojapilu. Sit down and say, brother, this cannot continue. We're gonna sit like this, we're gonna do this. If I can't get support from you, kick rekai and recorrect. Correct, because some of the things were not done by me. I was not telling myself, congratulations, well done, you are the best. It was the parents. But now we've got an opportunity to actually, and let's have that relational intelligence to separate between the two and sit down and solve issues.
And I think perhaps what is more of a betrayal, and the reason people end up walking away, or friendships end, or people leave the relationships, or they don't talk to their siblings anymore, is because I suppose it just really hurts to have someone so close to you not be happy for you in whatever. Because at the very least, that's the person you expect to be in your corner. So when you are happily in a relationship, or you've just found a job and you're in a new job, and the person that you admire the most, like the person you trust, is not able to appreciate and acknowledge that moment the way you are acknowledging it for yourself, it is quite hurtful. And maybe it explains why some friends just simply, friendships end, relationships end, siblings stop talking to each other.
Exactly, Clement. Yeah. And the sad part is, two things would happen in such a situation. When I am broken and hurt like that, I can choose to be angry, or it can evoke anger. However, I would rather keep it at a head state, because when I'm hurt, I'm now bearing my soul to you as my sister to say, why, how did we get here? So I like dealing with things from a head point of view, instead of now dealing with them on the top of saying, I will switch to anger, I will do this because I'm so hurt. So I would rather submit the hurt and be that vulnerable when I go to this person, so that they can see the pain they caused and where I put them, the pedestal at where I put them, to say, I thought we would have an Ubuntu informed connection. I thought we would collaborate more than compete, and really bare your soul to that person. What they do with it, it's up to them. But you would have said what you wanted instead.
Oh, Kefilwe, did we just lose you there? Okay, we've lost Kefilwe. Let's just reconnect that line with Kefilwe Mojapelo, and then we'll continue our conversation. But I want to hear from you as well. So maybe let's take this opportunity to take some of your thoughts on 011-883-0702. You can send your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. I'm sure all of us at some point have come across a friend who is jealous, or maybe you have been the one that's jealous. Maybe you've come across a sibling who is jealous, and there's an unhealthy competition. Maybe it's a cousin, maybe it's a spouse. Believe it or not, there are some people who are married or who are partnered with people who don't celebrate their successes with them. They are, because they think they are the ones that must always be elevated and go higher and achieve new things. But when it's the next person, they don't, equally celebrate that. I mean, it's like friends that when you find love and you start talking to them about it, they won't stop telling you how sad their lives are without love, because it must always turn around. Now they make you feel bad for how happy you are. Because isn't that competition then? That when your sibling, your sister, or your friend tells you about their relationship, you already then jump to how unhappy you are and how, but when am I going to get in that situation where I'm going to be as happy as you are? No, the moment was not about you. And maybe that's what we need to learn to manage. Let's go to your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. Have you experienced unhealthy competition and jealousy from your friends, your siblings, your spouse, your partner? And how have you dealt with it?
Very good morning, Mr. Clem and the rest of the team. Phenomenal and nostalgic topic indeed. Yeah, I remember during my childhood, at the time I was still in primary, I would be compared to my cousin, whom we were falling under same age group, with because that particular guy was very, 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 very smart, So I was always, being shouted at, by my mom, as to you are dumb cop and all those things. Fortunately enough, I had an uncle of mine, on the other side, who was quite aware of this whole thing that was going on, and he one day got me seated down, and told me all encouraging things, and after that, I never looked back, and surprisingly, when the matric results comes out, a guy whom they had an enormous trust on didn't pass, and whereas myself, on the other hand, I had done quite well, Yeah, this is Max in Q.
Max, thank you so much for that. Another one on the WhatsApp line says, "Hello, Clement and team. Anonymous here. I quit a relationship where I foresaw competition because that partner of mine was in so much rush to buy a car just because I had a car, to an extent of wanting to borrow money from friends to do that, just so they can get a car. And my nature of work would take me out of town for 3 days or a month, a half sometimes. He would want to know if we are going with males and what are the sleeping arrangements, and would even want to come along. Just imagine." Yeah, and then, okay, so I get it, because that goes into the issue now of just normal, jealousy that would often exist in relationships. And yes, it can get unhealthy at some point. But I suppose the point you're raising, which is in line with our conversation this morning, is that your partner wanted to even get into debt just so that they can get to a point where they are on equal footing with you, because you've got a car, then they must somehow have a car. And again, I'd like to hear from people who have felt the urge to be competitive. What would you say sort of drove you to that level of competition? We've got Kefilwe Mojapelo back on the line, and Kefilwe, we spoke a little bit earlier on around just what happens when parents, whether knowingly or unknowingly, sort of fuel that competition between children. What about in friendships? Like, what are the subtle signs that a friendship has now become competitive?
You'll hear Clement when a friend of mine calls me to say, "Yo, I've got an executive position," and I start applying myself in that context. Why am I applying myself? You, at least my friend, you are in you. I mean, now where I am, why does that have to? What does that have to do about a thing about you? So you'll hear such utterances to say, when I say something, you put yourself on the opposite and you scale yourself as according to what I'm telling you as my friend. So that's when you know, no more, we are not. This person is actually in a competition with me, because I'm telling you something that's good that's happening in my life. You're telling me about yours that's not happening. Why are you telling me about you? It's about me. It's my moment of shine. Let's congratulate me and end it there. So that's when you know, or that's when you know now somebody start applying, start doing certain things. Why were you not applying all along? Suddenly they start now following my life so much so to say, because they want to know how I did it. How? Not from an encouragement point of view, but you now want to copy so that you can go copy in your life. And it will never work, because our lives are really tailored differently. When things happen to me, you'll advance in other areas where I feel I'm still going well. So it's not a competition. We're all in advancing in our own paces as per our life mission, as the way it is probably done by the higher power.
Yeah, I mean, some friends stop being friends with other friends because those friends are getting married or they're having kids, and this is what they would love for themselves. So they cannot take the constant barrage of excitement they see when they visit their friends with their kids or their husband, because it reminds them of what they lack. I just don't think that is not healthy. Be open for other people, be happy for them so that things are able to flow in your life. I mean, you cannot be sad every time you see someone being happy, and your own reason for being sad is because, but why do I not have that? You know, it's okay to wish it for you. Oh, I wish I had that, but be happy for them. Lebogang, you're calling us from Roodepoort. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Hi, Clement. A great conversation that you guys are having there.
Sure.
You know, I'm actually at a point where I don't want to make friends anymore, because every friend that I make, or even friends that I had in the past, you'd find that along the way, all of a sudden, they're competing with me. And not that you have main character syndrome. No, you shouldn't be buying what I'm buying. No. But things like you throwing, all of a sudden, you're at a point where they're throwing backhanded comments like what you did is not that amazing. Anyone can achieve that. Okay. When did we get here? And you end up, like, let's say I'm graduating. You don't feel like it's the first person you can tell, because you know the reaction that you're going to get from them is mixed. So in a way, it's just very weird. And but I don't know. I think we can learn a thing or two from this conversation.
Absolutely. Lebogang in Roodepoort, thank you so much for your thoughts. I've got some more calls and WhatsApps coming through. We'll get to them after the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Maki, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. We begin with the latest from the courts. The man accused of orchestrating the murder of Warwick Stock, popularly known as DJ Warris, has been denied bail. Judgment in his bail application was handed down in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court a while ago. Victor Majola, a 44-year-old Soweto taxi boss, will remain in custody following his arrest last year. Stock was gunned down in the Johannesburg CBD on December 16th in what is believed to be a hit linked to work that his security company was doing with hijacked buildings. We move to the capital, where former Ilembe District Commissioner Anthony Gopal says it was inappropriate for Police Minister Senzo Mchunu to call him asking for an update on a murder case he was investigating. Gopal has been testifying at the Madlanga Commission this morning, which was established to investigate possible political interference and corruption in the country's law enforcement agencies. Gopal has been giving evidence about the death of ANC Mandeni councillor Pendukani Mabhida. leader. And a federal judge is expected to hear arguments today on whether immigration and customs crackdown operations should be halted in the state of Minnesota in the U.S. The state sued the Homeland Security Department earlier this month, 5 days after Renee Good was shot by an ICE officer. This weekend's shooting of another victim by a Border Patrol officer has only added to the urgency of the case. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
This EWN Traffic is brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you, Amo.
Well, Clement, we've got heavy traffic volumes on the N1 North. This is between Allendale Road and Olifantsfontein Road due to an accident. As a result, people are now using several roads within this area to try and navigate their way around these delays. So routes like Pretoria Main Road heavily backed up as well, along with Olifantsfontein Road. This is due to those delays on the N1. Traveling in Blue Hills, delays on the R55. This is as you head towards Centurion, towards the N14. So please do expect about a 15-minute hold up there. And then if you're traveling in the Boksburg area, we've got heavy traffic volumes along the N17 West between Rondebolt Road and Osborne Road. There's also slow-moving traffic in Amalgam on the M2 West between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. That's your last traffic update from me, Amo Ramela. Stay tuned for more updates at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
It's Carl de Koza here in another Carl de Koza production starring Carl de Koza and Cars.Koza. In this country, we don't just drive cars, we love cars. So slide into our DMs on WhatsApp and let's find what moves you.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
We've premised our entire approach on believing that the rules-based international order is what it claims to be. And yet consistently we have seen that it is something that's applicable only to some, as Mark Carney says. And one of the points he made was, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
The president outlined exactly similar issues that Mark Carney outlined.
Why is it then that when Mark Carney says it, people listen, and when our president says it, they don't?
Maybe it's because we're Africans.
Minister Ronald Lamola.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Get your brain in the game, because the brain of 702 is back with your chance to flex your general knowledge smarts. There's 3,000 Rand up for grabs every day, and Brain of the Week wins 10,000 Rand, plus a spot in the finals to compete for the grand prize of 30,000 Rand cash. Enter on primemediaplus.com now. Then catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa and 702 Drive with John Pellman for your chance to be the brain of 702. T's and C's and more on primemediaplus.com.
At Dis-Chem, get ready to start the year strong with bigger savings and better rewards. Swipe your Better Rewards card to save a massive 165 Rand on Pampers Premium Care Nappies, now just 424 Rand 79, and get a massive 30% off Johnson's Baby Wipes. Look out for the Better Rewards icon to get an extra 10% off on Better Rewards brands. Offers valid from Tuesday 13 January to Sunday 15 February. Only at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
The pain of losing a loved one is never easy. It will leave you feeling overwhelmed. At Clientele, we understand that burying loved ones with dignity truly matters. Our funeral plans pay out cash within just 24 hours, and you receive 200 Rand airtime when you claim to make those important calls. Plus, we cover up to 13 people on one plan. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Do you suffer from migraines? Have you been previously diagnosed by a doctor and treated for migraine? Ask your pharmacist about previously prescribed migraine treatments that are now available without prescription. Brought to you by Sandoz.
The Clement Manyathela Show will be hosting their Unemployment Hour this Wednesday on the 28th of January from 10 a.m., where we allow job seekers a platform to market themselves to potential employers So if you're an employer, this is an opportunity for you as well to locate the skills and talent you require for your business. It's very easy. You can send us an email now on cm@702.co.za. That's cm@702.co.za with your preferred skills, right? And our team will try to match you with potential candidates. And if you are unemployed, you're an unemployed graduate, listen to the Unemployment Hour on Wednesday, the 28th of January from 10 a.m. for your opportunity to market your skills. The Unemployment Hour on the Clement Manyathela Show, connecting you to opportunities only on 702. Let's walk the talk.
702.
Family Matters.
24 minutes before 12 o'clock now. Let's continue with our Family Matters feature, talking jealousy and competition in relationships. How do you deal with that? It is heartbreaking to have someone close to you that you consider a friend, that you consider a lover, that you consider a brother or a sister, and they get into an unhealthy competition with them. And that's why relationships like that never really last, because there is a sense of betrayal when the very person that you trust the most, the very person you feel closest to, is unable to be in that spirit of happiness, in acknowledging your achievements and successes, and all they do is to try center themselves, because why are you achieving those and not them? How have you dealt with instances like that? You can give us a call on 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Let's start there.
Hi, Clement. I'm so happy that you guys are having this conversation today. You know what? I'm at a point where, I don't know, I feel like I just attract people who end up being jealous of me. Why? I don't know. And it mostly happens, well, not in romantic relationships, but friendships. Like, I'll start being friends with this person. As time goes, I know this person. Now they throwing, subtle backhanded comments like, oh, your car is like mine. Our cars are not that different. Or they just start buying things that I'm buying without even a compliment. I'm not saying I have main character syndrome, but sometimes I'll just let it go and say no. Okay, maybe they just like it. But, something in you tells you, hi, man, this person, how they executed this whole thing is just a bit weird. And yes, things like graduation, you just don't get, they're not the first people to congratulate you, but strangers. But yet they are so close to you. So I'm actually at a point where I really don't want to make friends anymore, because those are the type of friends that I attract.
Hello, hi, good morning. I'm going to remain anonymous. So I'm a very competitive person, and this is something that was not instilled by anyone but myself. I come from a family where we did not have graduates, we did not have a car at home, and we were staying at a great-grandparent's house, which meant my granny stayed there, my mom stayed there, and I stayed there. So I had this accomplishment set for myself, because I thought to myself, no, I needed to break the cycle, I had to have a home for my child, I had to graduate, I had to have a car. So I'm the eldest of 5, and I've always thought to myself, I'm going to plant the seed with my siblings. The youngest is supposed to be the one who is more achieved than all of us. I had this concept, if I'm older than you, you are going to be more successful than I am. And the one that comes after you should be more successful than you. You can take it as a bad thing, you can take it as a good thing, but I felt my siblings needed to set the bar that high. However, when it comes to adults or your partner, it irks me when a person actually competes with you. This is supposed to be a situation where you feel, this is my cheerleader, my win is their win, and vice versa. So if you have a friend, a sibling, or a partner who doesn't see it as that, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
Thanks for the great show.
Thank you. It's all our win, eh? Like, if your loved one is winning, all of us are winning. Kefile, why is it sometimes harder to celebrate a friend's or a sibling's success than we admit? Because there are some people who just go, oh, congratulations, but they're quite pretentious. And that's the thing. It's, if I've known you for 20 years, I've known you for 10 years, we've been friends, or we are siblings, so we've been with each other for the rest of our lives. I can tell when you're being pretentious. I can tell when you're being honest. Why is it that sometimes we just struggle with completely being happy for, a sibling's or a friend's or spouse's success than we would admit?
Maybe I feel like it is because it's also a reminder of the things that I'm also not achieving at, or that I'm battling at internally or on my own. So as the person congratulates you, it tells you this is the milestone that I've
Recording
reached.
stopped.
Then you start comparing and reflecting on your own life and where you are not at. For example, I'm 40, I wanted this, I wanted that. It's not happening for me, but it's happening for them. So it's also a reminder. But then the point is, when you feel that, then it's a point of reflection. Pause. Don't pretend don't try to be over that feeling before you process it and you reflect on it and you actually say, what does this mean? So mind your mind to say, pause at that point when you feel that this is happening inside of me. And I explore myself to say, am I jealous? And I'm like, but I'm not a jealous person. And then I'm like, oh, this came and it reminded me of this, because this is a pain or in my life, to say, I know I'm struggling with this. I know this has always been my prayer point. I'm not getting a job, but this person is getting. So now when they tell you, it's a harsh reminder. So sometimes it's also framed in that. And you might also think you are jealous because you are experiencing all these feelings within you, that now I'm supposed to be congratulating them, but I'm sad for myself. So hence I'm saying, if we can separate the two, to say this is about this person. When it's about you, you also take time to also reflect on your own life, on your own milestones, on the things that you're also not able to achieve, and check in with yourself. So I would rather say, let's be proactive on that, so that you check in continuously with yourself to say, when somebody comes, I'm at a better place. It's kind of when somebody comes and I'm supposed to congratulate them, I'm reminded of my own lack of success, my own stagnation. And so that is actually where it's coming from. Process, don't rush to say things. So pause, reflect, and take it a deeper conversation with yourself, while also separating this to say, this is my friend. So that's actually the relational intelligence space that I'm talking about, to say, while you are aware of the other person is happy or whatnot, their life is going this way, you're also aware of your own. Create that separatedness so that there's clear lines to say, I'm not jealous, I was feeling this. If you are jealous, also go into your space to say, what makes me jealous? And then now you also, with empathy and without really judging yourself, you go into yourself and to work on that thing.
At what point, though, when is it okay to then start distancing yourself from a competitive friend or a competitive sibling? When what happens?
It start affecting. When it start affecting you negatively. When I'm telling you this, I'm drawing a negative energy from you. I'm not gaining anything. When I tell you, I'm not getting a plus. We are not celebrating. You are comparing. You are throwing insults.
We've just lost that line again to Kefilo Mojapelo. We're going to try and get her on the line now, because there clearly is something wrong there with the Zoom. It's 15 minutes now before 12 o'clock. We'll come back with more of your WhatsApps and calls.
With OUTsurance, I'm saving a whole 729 Rand.
Another satisfied OUTsurance client saving more money every month. 32-year-old Perushka saves 729 Rand a month on her 2020 Haval H2. And after 3 claim-free years, she gets an out bonus.
Yes, I'm ready for that out bonus.
How much money could OUTsurance save you? Get a quote now. SMS out to 45142. That's out to 45142. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
Enjoy the thrill of the Soccer Panthers Challenge Weekend Edition, an all-new platform from Hollywood Bets. You stand a chance to win a share of the 5 million Rand jackpot when you bet 5 Rand or more on selected EPL matches over the weekend and correctly predict 10 out of 10 winning margins. Or chase the share of the 50,000 Rand leaderboard prize. Entry is free. Let this soccer season bring sizzling success. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
702.
Family Matters.
15 minutes before 12 o'clock, jealousy and competition in relationships with your friends, with your family, with your spouse, your partner. How do you deal with it? Let's start with your voice notes.
Clement, good morning, Paul in Renfontaine. On the topic that you're talking about, competition among people that are close. Well, we're finding ourselves in that kind of an environment in this season. That's my wife and I. And it's sad that it's happening at the same time. We, from both sides, my family and her family, and I get torn in so many different directions. It drains me. I don't know. I'm a victim in both instances, yet I'm expected in a way to be the same person that bring people together. I cannot be both a referee and a player in the same game. It's said our family has fallen apart and we are not the total of it, both sides. We are not a big family. And there is now already, a sense of being alone in the world.
Yeah, it does break down families. It does. There's a message here, Kifilo, from Anonymous who says, Clement, trust me, family members can be jealous, parents included. I've lost my house, my cars and business about 2 years ago. I was forced to move back home last month. The joy of my mother being against the wall, her conversations with my sister. You can hear that these people are joyous that the universe has been unkind to me. I'm really considering disowning my family. Yo, Kifile, I mean, I was shocked earlier on because when I spoke about this level of competition, I didn't really include parents. I just said siblings, friends, and I said partners as well. But someone pointed out to me that there are, in fact, instances where parents are jealous of their children. I cannot even begin to imagine that being possible. But as this listener says, it does happen. But what would get a parent to be jealous of their own child? Yeah, Kifile? Kifile, can you hear us?
Yes, Clement.
Yes,
I'm saying
go ahead.
it actually goes back into inquiring as to what happened in the life of that parent. And sometimes you see this child, in your view as a parent, succeeding over the other. What really would get a person there? So I'm interested in other what people would say to that in their life stories. But it's so sad and heartbreaking, especially because where must I go? And sometimes it turns you into somebody that you don't want to become. I'm now silently also, at some point when my sister things go down, I would want to celebrate because, my mother put her on a higher pedestal than me. They've been conniving against me. Now I'm turning into what I don't want to become. Like this, so it's not healthy, it's not nice. Sometimes staying away to protect self is actually a way to mental well-being, Yamoto, honestly.
Are there, because somebody else says, well, let's also not take for granted childhood experiences that can make
Definitely.
someone prone to competing.
Definitely, Clement. And while you say that, in December, one of my kids, the other got medals and got things and all this trophy academically. On my way back from receiving the awards, as I'm congratulating the other, I'm like, you know what, and thank your brother. And I had to emphasize to say, he helped you because he might not have gotten an award, but he's helped you through. He's the one that got you here. So this is actually a share award. And then it got emotional. I was speaking, and because I really meant it. And then the next thing, we were all crying in the car and we hugged. It was like, now she knows when she takes that trophy to say, my brother helped me. So we must really be cognizant of these things and what it creates in the other child. Because we are actually the one who plants it in them to see each other's competition.
Yeah. Let's go to some more WhatsApps.
Hi, Clement and the listeners. It's Vusi here in Vanderbilt Park. My brother, I've once had a friend, well, I was doing better than him in life, but later he became friends with my enemies. He always loved my enemies. He brought my enemies closer to him. I don't know why, but we ended up, not being friends anymore. Thank you, Clement.
Thank you. That's a tricky one, Gefile, because I mean, there are some friends who've got a policy of my enemies are your enemies are my enemy. But there are some friends as well who will say, as long as my relationship and yours is fine, I can be friends outside of this friendship with whoever I want to be, friends with. Because of course there are some people that Gefile you will not get along with that I get along with, and the people that may have betrayed you, but that I have a good relationship with. So do I then cut that relationship with them? I mean, that's something that every friendship takes differently.
Exactly. It goes back to the rules of engagement. If they are clear in what we agreed on, and so whenever we conflict, we are able to say, friend, what is happening here? And then we are clear. So the assumptions and the lack of clarity, and I'm thinking, you are thinking, but you are in your corner, I'm in my corner, that will not work. So I'm a big advocate for let's talk, let's get it out. What are the rules of engagement? When they change, let's talk and see. And it's easier in friendship. In family, you're actually forced to sit and talk because now disowning you will hurt me as well. I will not take it easy like that. So in friendship, it's easier. But all I'm saying, rules of engagement. Let them be clear. Let clarity prevail all the time.
Yeah. Anonymous says, Clement, anyone who says people are jealous of them and they don't know why lack introspection. Some people, especially those who are highly competitive amongst their family and friends, are also like rubbing their successes in other people's faces and making and making always one on top of theirs. I'm not sure what you're trying to say here, or maybe you're trying to say they always want to be on top of the group. When someone then doesn't receive the admiration, they label those around them as jealous. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, there's some friends who they want to talk about their success and they're always just throwing it at you. And if you are not going to go, oh, wow, then that's how they define it as jealous. I mean, in that case, it's clear that it's the other person who's not okay.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
It's crazy. Another one says, hey, Clement, at times it's not like the other person will be jealous. At times you look at the person and then you tell yourself that this person is jealous, even if they are not. That's a message there from Elvis. Yeah, and of course, Elvis, there's got to be things that have happened right along the road that make you convinced that something is wrong here. In fact, consult with someone else. Like maybe get another opinion from another friend. Maybe have a chat with your mom. Maybe speak to another sibling. Or maybe when you are in your therapy sessions, talk to your therapist about it, that I'm picking up this behavior and I could be wrong. So nothing has to be conclusive, but at least get another second opinion. So for someone listening to us now, Kifila, who doesn't know where to begin, and maybe this conversation has enlightened them to realize that there is jealousy in their relationship, within their family, in their friendship, how do they start the conversation? Because some people are scared of losing the friendship. They're scared of them and the siblings not talking ever again. So what's the best way to broach this conversation? Because it's a very difficult conversation to have.
It's a difficult conversation, but also it depends on if you really pace yourself up to say, I want to be emotionally mature. I can't be always very happy birthday, but nothing changes within me, in me, and about me. So at some point, we must get to a point where we are adulting and we are adults, or we are maturing enough to say, you know what, let's sit and have these conversations that are unfavorable, because life will not all be rosy. We like saying that, so it's actually a more idealized principle, but in reality, we disregard it completely. So I would rather say, let our principles become our reality. I want a relationship where we can talk. Are we talkers? Can we talk? Can we sit down? So let's test those barriers and within ourselves to say, let me sit down, let me have this conversation with a friend. Yeah. Let me have a relational intelligent mindset where I have the cognitive ability to be aware of my feelings and somebody else's, and we are able to I'm able to empathize with them to say, this is where I am, this is where we are. Now, if we want this, how do we create a space where we both coexist and we manage anything, any problem that might come in between? And again, it is both a dual process where it's about me and another person, but within myself and myself again. And I love what you said when you speak about therapy, because that's the place where we will not be judged. We'll come and we'll sit down with you and say, let's explore. Are you really jealous? Well, you're honest, because sometimes you are really jealous, but you don't want to tell people, and then you harbor it. And guess what? It solidifies with age, with time. The next thing you are really jealous. So it's not a rule to just come and sit with a professional and say, this is where I am. You will not be judged. So let's talk about it so that you become the better version of you that you want. And managing, I'm seeing the way I look at my sister, it's like I'm jealous. Yes, I want this. Why am I jealous? Then you open yourself to say, let me uproot these things and throw them away. And let me now start having a mindset where it fosters Ubuntu, I am because you are. Our connections are informed by that at the I would say the most philosophical basis of it. What are my philosophies about success? Social media pressures, how do I internalize it? How do I see myself as compared to another person? Time, when this happening, they are in their life, they are successful. Where does that put me? So it's an internal thing, an internal conversations that we must have with ourselves and check in continuously.
Good day, Clement. This is Kamila from Pretoria. The issue about friends and relatives being jealous is something that I learned very late in life. I never thought such a thing existed, but I now believe it is there. But now, the stupidity and the absurdity of it is that you can compete as much as you like, but you'll never be me. Especially when we all know, both you and me, that you are the weaker one. You'll never match me. The best that you can do is to learn from me, and even there are things that I can learn from you, but to think that you'll compete until you match the next person, that's just a fallacy. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, thank you for your contribution. And Kefilo Mojapele, thanks so much for joining us and guiding us through this conversation. Kefilo is a psychosocial well-being practitioner. It's 3 minutes before 12.
Attention pool owners, Chamberlain has the best deal ever. HDH 8 kilogram granular chlorine for 349 Rand. Yes, HDH 8 kilogram, only 349 Rand. Join us from the 5th of January to the 1st of February for Gauteng's best pool care deals. Hurry into your nearest Chamberlain today and get yours before they're gone. Limited stock, collection only while the promotion lasts. Chamberlain, famous for hardware since 1903.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. It's easy to apply. No medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Supercharge your business productivity with Moloi Innovative Solutions. We bring the most highly customized and cost-effective IT infrastructure to your fingertips. Whether it's desktop and server support, cloud services or hardware, software and printer procurement, our dynamic team makes sure that you have the tech that resonates with you. Moloi Innovative Solutions. Experience at its best. Get to moloiis.co.za for more.
Coming up
on the Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
How's it, Mandy?
Hey, how are you?
Good. What's popping?
So the Madlanga Commission is finally back. It's taken a little while, but it's back today with the deputy commissioner in KwaZulu-Natal. A suspect in the DJ Warris murders being denied bail. Action SA expanding the Green Umbrella. It's merged with 2 local parties. We'll find out about that. We'll speak to Mkhlengi Bengu from the ANC about the Lekgotla that was held this weekend and what the ANC is doing. Some same old, some new. And then so much sport to talk about this weekend. Sure, it was such a busy weekend.
My brother is still trying to get
Licking
over
his
that.
wounds, him and Bongai Mbingwa.
Oh, yeah, but I've been making fun of him the whole morning.
We'll talk about all of that.
I mean, their justification is, at the end of the day, we're still top of the league, so it's fine.
You win some, you lose some, huh?
Right?
Yeah.
That's what's coming up on the Midday Report with Mandy Wiener. Thanks for listening to the show. We're back tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. The man accused of orchestrating the murder of Warwick Stock, popularly known as DJ Warris, has been denied bail. Judgment in his bail application was handed down in the Johannesburg Magistrates Court this morning. Victor Majola, a 44-year-old Soweto taxi boss, will remain in custody following his arrest last year. Stock was gunned down in the Joburg CBD on December 16th in what is believed to have been a hit linked